Good evening and welcome to the March 5th meeting of the Historic District Commission. This is going to be a long agenda tonight, but it means we only have one meeting this month, so that's good. I'm going to introduce our panel here, our commission. On my far right, I have Larry Booz, who is our alternate.
Hi, good evening.
Dr. Dan Brown.
Good evening.
Martin Ryan.
Good evening.
Vice Chair Margot Doring.
Hello.
And the Chair, Reagan Rudig. We've got Isaac Gilbo from the Planning Department.
Good evening.
Welcome back from Florida to John Wyckoff.
Good evening.
It's our cold, rainy day. Our City Council rep, Rich Blaylock, will be coming tonight, but he'll be a little bit late. And we have David Adams.
Good evening.
All right, so the board's action in these matters has been deemed to be quasi-judicial in nature. If any person believes any member of the board has a conflict of interest, that issue should be raised at this point or it will be deemed waived. All right, first off, we want to approve the minutes from last month, February 5th. Does anyone have any corrections?
There's the one correction under administrative approvals, 93 Pleasant Street, just the name on the sign.
Right,
I wasn't here, so I won't vote.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to vote.
All right. Anyone else? All right, can I get a motion to approve with that one change?
Motion to approve with the change.
Second?
Yes, seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Chair votes aye. Thank you. All right, a good stack of administrative approvals coming up, so we will let Isaac go through these, although we do have several recusals. So other than the recusals, are there any projects that anyone wanted to pull out separately to discuss? All right. So, yes.
Walton Alley, I'm no,
Right.
recusal.
Yeah.
So we can start with that since it's number one anyway. And we'll vote on that one.
Okay, let me get my screen shared. One moment, please. All right, so the applicant for One Walton Alley was here last month. They are proposing to replace and repair an existing fence that in some spots was removed and in other spots needs to be repaired. That would wrap along Gates and Walton Alley. And the kind of other part is they were hoping to install a sort of country English style gate. The commission was not entirely on board with that particular design. So the applicant has come back with this style design. It more closely matches the existing fence that's at the property that they would be mimicking as well.
I like the puppy.
Any comments or questions on that? Anybody good with that?
I would just say it's appropriate to what's there now, and I would support it.
Great.
Great.
Thank you. All right. Well, then let's go ahead and vote on this one first. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Do so. Mr. Adams can come up. And the other two are the last two, 11 and
Yep.
12. Let's just go through everything together, and then Mr. Booz can step out for the last two.
Okay, great. That will bring us to item number 2, which is 40 Pleasant Street. This project actually came before the commission a couple of years ago. It has since lapsed. However, the only portion that they're asking for this time around, it's new owners of the building, is just for the lighting component. And so we have several existing photos, and then they have shown all elevations where the lighting would be installed on the second and third levels. And then we can see, of course, during the day, and then what a sort of mock-up at night would look like. And they've also included a spec of how the light fixture would be installed and also of the light fixture itself. And again, this was approved a couple of years ago. Any further questions on that item? Okay. Seeing none, I will move on. The next item, number 3, is 39 Holmes Court. This project came before the commission about a year or two ago for a public hearing. What they're asking for, because it was not detailed in the plans, is for the decking and railings for a side entry and a third level emergency balcony. Here's the elevation showing the entry where the railing and the decking would go. And that they have chosen this impression style rail in aluminum material in the black. And then this would be the color for the actual decking. And we do have a sample of that if anybody wishes to see. It is a TimberTech.
Isaac, do you know what facade the escape balcony is located? Already there, and they're just adding the railing?
Exactly, yes. And that was something that we did approve. It was needed by code for fire safety.
It's just the material of the...
Just the material, exactly right. Yep. All right, any further questions for that? Okay. We'll move on to item number 4, which is 43 Holmes Court. Similarly, this project kind of came in tandem with the 39 Holmes Court project a couple of years ago. What they are asking for is to actually change out just the brand of window. They were approved with a Green Mountain window. They are asking for a LePage window. So of course it would be all windows that were approved for Green Mountain. This is new construction, by the way. And then here are the LePage specs. So I'm not sure if anybody had further questions on the change. I believe it was due just to the time frame of getting the Green Mountain windows.
Does anyone have experience with LePage? That's a new name for me.
It is a good one.
Go on. Thank you.
Yeah, we've approved it in the last 3 or 4 months.
They-
Okay.
The screens,
They did not say screens, but we could stipulate half screens if they're installed.
on the double hung windows, half screens.
Okay. Item number 5 is 93 State Street. Again, this project just came before us for a public hearing for a renovation. The last remaining items were the doors on State Street and Chapel Street. We did a couple of site walks. So they have proposed 2 new doors that would be very much in style and in kind to the doors that are there now. Does anyone have further questions on the type of door or how it would be installed? I know we have the applicant here if need be.
Yeah, I have all the questions in the world. Are these doors, the existing doors, does anyone know the age of these doors? Anyone that went on the site walk, because I was not on the site.
I did go on the site walk. I don't know who else, I don't know if you stopped by, or who else went. And it's clear that the front door, though the wood is beautiful, it is not an original door.
Yeah.
It is older, but is starting to, it has been, it's not a lacquer. What is on the, what's the finish on the door?
Varnish.
It's
Holly.
Yeah, I believe it's a varnish and it's faded and warped.
It's so thick. It's so thick that it's like you can't refinish it.
So you can't strip it
Yeah.
and redo it again? Okay, how are they pretending to remove the frame? And I see something about the half round up top, but I'm not really understanding exactly what they're doing with it. Are they using the half round over again and putting new glass in it? Is that what it is?
So one of the windows,
Could you speak up a little bit, please?
so one of the panes has been damaged, so we're replacing that as far as the trim surrounding it. we'll have to replace that as well, just due to the nature of how you work with the existing window there. So that's the
So
reason.
you're only going to repair one broken pane?
Yes.
And where is that, on the front window? I mean, the front door, excuse me.
That is on the Chapel Street side.
So the front State Street side is okay?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. And so would you be leaving that frame in there with the sash in place while you remove the door?
We're going to have the GC determine what makes the most sense in working with the window and the pane and the unit. If he has to replace the entire trim piece, he's going to replace it in kind. And then
You're
it'll be-
using the original hardware on that door, the hardware that's on the
Yes.
State Street side?
Yes.
Which was obviously reused on the current door.
Yes.
So it's continuing to use old hardware.
I don't know what to say. I don't want to, vote against everything just because I don't like this project. Is it possible to pull it, or is it too late for that? Otherwise, I'll just vote against everything.
I mean, we can pull this one and vote on it separately. Does anybody else have any concerns or questions about this? Yes, Mr.
I did visit the site, and I agree with you that the door is not original, and it is kind of an odd composite door in the front, and that the routings
Composite.
that are in the that create the panels are on the inside. They should be on the outside, and so this is much better than what was put together the first time. I think you were calling out a new frame and a new door slab and also a new transit above. So this is what we asked for, and I'm going to support it.
David, did you look at it?
I've looked at it.
And
yes.
even though I'm not voting on
They're
this, I mean, I would
proposing
just
to
like to say,
trim, not
blow
the
up the
jams.
images. I mean, I certainly agree with both of your comments on that. The
I don't care for the
State
doors.
Street door, it looks like,
Bad.
the polyurethane's in bad condition. And on the Chapel Street, you can, even though I didn't do the site walk, you can see the cracks in the door, the cracks in the paint. So even though I'm not voting, I think what you're doing is really good and will
Thank you.
definitely enhance the quality of your building.
Well, and just a point of clarification, you can vote on this because Councilor Blaylock is not here,
Okay.
so you will be voting on it.
Well, in that case, you have my vote.
Thank you.
Chair? Yes, I'm going to take back some of those comments after hearing some people that were actually there and speaking with Mr. Adams, et cetera. I am pleased that it is not the original proposed rip the whole thing out and plug in a pre-hung door type of thing. So I'm pleased with that. So I'm just going to refrain from any more comments.
All right, fine. It's very clear that, for clarification too, that the Chapel Street door is not at all very old. It's not a very high-quality door, so it's fine. Any other comments or questions? All right. Do we need to pull this one or?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next item, administrative approval 6, which is 50 Austin Street. We had approved several condensers and an EV charger a few months ago. We stipulated that if any exterior line sets had to be run that didn't go directly into the building, that they come back for review and approval. They did have to run a few external line sets up the side of the building, so they are here tonight seeking approval for those locations. This is one particular line set here, the other on the side of the building, And then this just shows where the approved condenser locations we had already approved are.
So I think it's very important that these line sets be given a little 220 paper and a paintbrush with a brick color. Sometimes you can get away with leaving the white, but with this brick building with white trim, it just, it's going to stand out like trim.
I guess I had a question as to whether or not you could order, if the covering for the line sets come in colors now.
You should be able to, you
And,
would think.
could you get a dark brown one and paint it brick? That would probably be easier than a white one,
True.
but.
So either or. They order one.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Any other comments or concerns on this? Okay.
Okay, that will bring us to item number 7, which is 121 State Street, Unit 2. This proposal is to take where a window used to be that has been bricked up and to revert that back into a functioning window. As you can see, the window is located underneath this deck here next to this set of doors. And they would be proposing to use a Pella Reserve Series double hung aluminum clad window, and that would match the windows on the rest of the building. And that would be a 6/6 pattern, as shown.
With half screens.
And a half screen can be stipulated if they do install, yes.
It's actually noted.
Perfect.
Window screens.
Okay, yes, it is
Yep,
noted,
it's
so
already noted.
as it's noted on the plan.
Okay.
Great. That will bring us to then item number 8, which is 49 Sheaf Street. The applicant here is seeking approval for a replacement fence on the property. So we can see sort of existing photos here of the fence. There's a couple of different styles of fence going on, and there are portions of the fence that are deteriorating, as you can see. They have proposed to go with a wood, kind of a standard picket style fence, as shown here, and it would cover the red area in the adjacent photograph, and that would match a neighboring fence as well. The additional part of the application is for 2 gates, one that would be a double swing open, and then just a singular pedestrian gate. That would be located between the house and the garage, and then between the garage and the adjacent property. And the examples of the aluminum gate are on the screen.
Questions? My only question for this particular one is how the gates are going to be installed in between the buildings. I don't know if,
We do have the applicant here. Sorry, if you could help us clarify just that quick
I just
point.
wanted to make sure that the gates weren't being attached to the buildings themselves, but would be a freestanding.
They would have posts, and then it would swing from that and
Okay.
lean up against the building.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. It's just clarification.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so we will move right along to item number 9, which is 93 Pleasant Street. The applicant here, of course, we've seen this project before. They are proposing 2 additional changes. One would be the addition of a chimney that used to be on the building and has since been removed. So they would like to install that to bring it back to a more historic look. And you can see the existing 4th chimney right here. So they would propose to rebuild that. And the second component of the application is for a series of porch awnings. Those would be fabric awnings over a metal support, or a canvas fabric awning.
Not just simply to have something to say, but this is a groundbreaking project. We've had so many firsts on this one. I think, at least in my tenure, it's the first chimney that was proposed to be replaced on a building. The first stone wall to ever been chosen to be replaced. It's a lot of firsts in this one. I think it deserves an upvote just on the basis of that.
Kudos.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, great. So our next item would be 10. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
this one's
Yeah,
fine.
I can't, right.
10 Market Square is okay for you?
10 Market
I think it
Square
was
is
just the
okay.
last two, Larry.
It's
Yeah.
the
okay.
last two, yeah.
Okay, so item number 10 is 10 Market Square. The applicant here is seeking approval for the installation of HVAC equipment. It would be 2 condensers with line sets. The line sets start at the bottom photo and run to the left. And then there would be 2 condensers as well. And they would be located in this back alley area. So it is slightly visible if you were walking down Ladd Street. However, it is amongst other mechanical units and other like items.
Not to speak just to speak, but I certainly wish that it were possible for somebody to just go into this alley and behind these buildings and remove everything and put it all in a logical way that's covered up, because it is such a cluster now. It's terrible. But this isn't, it's still terrible, but c'est la vie, but it's just so disturbing back there.
I would say the only reason to do that would be to make a place of that spot, which could be fantastic,
Boxed in, and,
but that's a long ask.
yeah. And they're all different owners,
Exactly.
It looks an awful lot like the cable TV wiring in Mumbai or something like that. Yeah, anyway.
Exactly.
Any other
Comments, questions?
concerns for this one?
All historic buildings.
All right, with that being said, I will quickly run through items 2 through 10. We will vote on those, and then we will hear our last 2 administrative approval items. Item number 2, 40 Pleasant Street. I did not have any stipulations. Item 3, 39 Holmes Court. Again, no stipulations. Item 4, 43 Holmes Court. We did have a stipulation that if they install screens on the double hung windows, that they should be half screens. Item 5, 93 State Street. I don't have any stipulations written. Item 6 is 50 Austin Street. We have a stipulation that the line sets are either, if they're able to be covered with a brown line set cover and then painted to match the brick, that would be preferable. If it does not come in anything other than white, to still match the brick painting. Item number 7, 121 State Street, Unit 2. No stipulations, as half screens are present in the application. Item number 8 is 49 Sheaf Street. No stipulations. Item 9, 93 Pleasant Street, no stipulations. Item 10, 10 Market Street, no stipulations.
Great.
I move we approve these as discussed.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you. So, Mr. Boots,
I'm
you
going to
can
disappear for 2.
step aside for the last 2.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we will move on to item number 11. This is for the property at 113 to 117 Market Street. Again, this property was before us last month for window replacements. They were asked to come back for administrative approval just to clear up a couple windows on the Ceres Street side. So we have just that. Let me get over to the Ceres Street side. So here we are. I'll try to get that a little bit larger. And so here would be the proposed windows there. So again, it would be using the same brand, and they were just attempting to get a more cohesive look on the backside. Do we have further questions on? Okay. So we will move to item then number 12. This would be the property 93 to 101 Market Street. Similarly, they were here last month for windows. Same stipulation, just to come back and to clarify some of the windows that we had questions on. So they have noted some of those window changes that we discussed. And again, this just shows the front and rear sides. So again, just a more cohesive look between all of the varying sizes of windows. Same, again, same brand as proposed before.
It's nice to, may I say, it's nice to see them all presented in one plate like that so we can get an idea as to what's being accomplished. Thank them very much.
Okay.
Anybody else good? Okay.
Well, I guess I sort of lumped those two kind of together. So if we are okay with voting on those together, we can do that, or we can split those apart.
I think we can vote on
Okay.
them together. They're
Great.
very related projects. So if I could have a motion,
So moved?
second?
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Just make sure they're half screened.
Yes, that was part of the,
The first one?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so we're through all the administrative approvals. Next is our public hearing, new business. Number one, the petition of Kevin Shitan Zhang, Revocable Trust of 2017, owner, for property located at 377 Maplewood Avenue, wherein permission is requested to allow the demolition of a secondary structure and the new construction of a detached accessory dwelling unit and exterior renovations to the existing main structure to include new windows, doors, and repairs, and replacement of exterior features as per plans on file in the Planning Department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 141 as Lot 22 and lies within the General Residence A and Historic Districts.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. For the record, I'm Derek Durbin. I'm the attorney for the owner of the property at 377 Maplewood Avenue, Kevin Zhang, who is working at his restaurant, which you probably know, the Pink Bamboo, so he couldn't be here tonight. I'm the warm body filling his place tonight. Hopefully, and I pray, he's zooming into the meeting from Australia is Brendan McNamara.
Yes, I just got him into a panelist. So if he needs to jump on or share anything, we can do that. So
Yeah, he will definitely need to jump in because I am far outside of my normal wheelhouse of presenting zoning and planning board applications in talking about windows and trim and door replacements and egress windows. But what I can do is give you a very broad overview here of what is being proposed, and then I can turn it over to Brendan to go through the details and answer any questions that the board may have. It has been a long road getting here. It's been about 5 years now working on this project. Kevin has been through the zoning board a couple times at this point. More recently, at the end of 2024, we got a number of dimensional variances for the proposed improvements in the property, the most notable of which is the carriage house style detached accessory dwelling unit to the rear of the property, which will replace an existing structure that is larger, dysfunctional outbuilding that's structurally unsound. You can probably see from the pictures that it's missing portions of the floor, exterior walls. It's in very, very rough shape and really isn't safe to enter, although I know that there's some stuff stored in there right now. As far as we know, historically, it was used for different commercial or accessory residential purposes in the early 1900s, including, we believe, a sail-making shop. Hasn't been used for any purpose like that in many, many years, and is sitting in the dilapidated condition that it is in now. So Kevin is proposing the replacement of that structure with the ADU, and also in symbiosis with that, proposing some in-kind replacements, improvements to the primary residence, which is also, at least from an exterior appearance, in pretty rough shape. So with that, I would probably turn it over to Brendan to go through some of the details regarding the windows, door replacements, trim, and other details.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, can Brendan chime in yet?
Yes, Brendan is on my panelist list. It just looks like he's muted. Oh, there we go.
No, gotcha. Yep.
Perfect.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry about the delay.
No worries.
You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, Derek has done an excellent job of his preliminary and has really covered the thrust of what's going on here. I think the plans are sort of showing what's proposed within the nature of the requirements of the detached accessory dwelling unit. You know, the new building at the rear is meant to be diminutive to the principal dwelling unit, which I believe it is. So it is still in the manner of a appearance of a more utilitarian building. And then we do have the repairs of the principal dwelling unit. You know, it's in pretty rough state as well. There is, just to note, there is the specific change to the principal dwelling unit because of the need to create parking and turnaround. The existing bulkhead, which is on the rear of the principal dwelling unit, needs to be removed, but we still need to have egress to the basement area, which is why we have a grade egress window proposed on the front of the principal dwelling unit. And I'm happy to answer any questions that come up.
All right. Thank you. I'll just say I'm happy to see this project finally come back because it has been before us in drips and drabs. So any questions that the commission has or comments on the plan thus far?
I'll ask Brendan, are there any significant changes to the new dwelling unit compared to what we had seen previously that you'd like to call out?
No, none at all.
Okay.
No. So it's essentially, it's just a slightly, it's really gone from a 1/8 plan, sketch plan, to a 1/4 scale plan. So.
Okay.
Okay. Then the only comment that I have is I'm thrilled that this building is going to stay, the original dwelling is staying true to its form. We don't have many of these little modest buildings in the historic district, so I appreciate very much that it's not being expanded into something that it's not. I also like that a lot of the materials are being kept in kind, using natural materials. So I'm just totally in favor of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Not a lot of comments since basically we've seen this before and we were happy with it the first time around, so there's not much to comment on. Great. Well then, if there's no other comments here, I will open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak to, for, or against this project? No, I see no one rise, and I'm assuming no one's online. I'll close the public hearing and wait for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
You want the findings of fact
Yes,
first?
please.
Okay. I would say this maintains the special character of the district. In particular, it maintains the character of this building. And it is in relation to the historic and architectural value of the existing structures around.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion?
No, I agree.
No, I think we're all very excited, like I said, to see this go forward, so good job. All right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, so thank you. All right,
Thank you.
all right, next.
Sleep now.
Number 2 is the petition of Paul R. Delisle Revocable Trust and Rosa Z. Delisle Revocable Trust, owners for property located at 408 The Hill, unit number 617. I hope I said the names correctly. Wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure to include replacement windows, replace wood shingle roof with asphalt shingles, and the installation of a condenser unit as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 118 as Lot 26-5 and lies within the Character District 4L1, Downtown Overlay and Historic Districts. Hi, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Mark Smith, and I'll be representing Paul and Rosa Delisle this evening.
Okay, great. Thank you. So please just present what you have here for us.
Sure. So as far as the window replacement, the proposed replacement windows are Matthew Brothers Sanford Hill Collection, which are a dual pane, double hung 6/6 light, and include a 5/8 historic putty muntin with a historic sill nose to match the existing windows. The owners are seeking approval for the replacement of all windows with the exception of the 5 dormer windows and the large window above the main entrance door on the street. The existing storm windows would also be removed.
Okay.
They're also looking to install 2 condensers. The proposed condensers are to be installed on each side of the building where currently there's parking on either side. And they would have privacy screens that are approximately 32 inches tall with horizontal slats. The line sets would run exterior on the building, and they would have covers which would be painted to match the existing color of the building.
Great. All right.
And the roof in the proposal or the application, they had asphalt shingles, but they wish to rescind that. They're going to replace with in-kind cedar shakes to match what's existing.
Great. Great, thanks.
Away my fire.
Any other questions so far?
23 is going to be where it used to be.
Yeah, that's a new window.
Was originally there, or? Do you know?
I believe so. Yes.
No.
No?
It's got 18th century clapboards that go right through the space.
Wow.
But it certainly, if you look at the window pattern, there's no architectural reason to deny this as an introduction to the building. Couple of questions. Maybe it's just I don't know the language well enough. You said line sets, like it was a plural. Is that
There's 2 condensers, one on each side of the building, so each would have one line set.
And what you're suggesting is I completely missed the location of the line set on the other side. I see it now. Thank you. Now, tell me about the replacement windows. What are you replacing?
All windows that have a number next to them, all
Windows, I'm old. Can you stick with me for a second? I'm real old. Windows are sashes and frames. Are you replacing both the sashes and the frames?
yes.
So they're new construction.
Oh, sorry, they are replacement windows. They don't have a new construction flange, so the exterior, the existing trim and everything on the exterior would remain the same.
So you're replacing the sashes, not the frames?
Correct.
Except for one where you're making a new frame also because there is no window existing there.
Correct.
And you're going to
Number
use the
23.
same sashes that you use as replacements in the rest of the building.
Correct.
When you put that new window frame in, is it going to look like the other window frames?
Yes.
How much it's going to look like them? You got a feeling for this already, I'm sure.
Sure, yeah. I don't know that, I mean, as close as possible, but I don't know the,
Not like as close as possible, because that's just it could be anybody's idea of close as possible. How about I'll be happy? Because that's really what we're talking about here right now. Is it going to be an exact match? Is that your intent?
that's the intent, correct.
And if you fall short of that, you'll come and talk to Isaac before that, before you waste anybody's money,
Certainly.
okay?
Yes, John?
On the specs, I do see fiberglass mesh, full screen.
So we could certainly.
Yes, we usually stipulate half screens
Screen.
for.
That's what we have.
Yes, Margot?
The line set, Isaac, if you could back up to the one that we, yes, okay, that one. The other line set was lovely. It went up right past a corner board and was nice and easy. This is running right up the side of the building. It's not near any trim. It's like you just running it randomly up the clapboards. I see there's something in the way there. It's another covered box. Is there any reason that you can't do a jig jog and go up the corner board and over the under of the eave the way you did in the other one?
We could, however, it poses a challenge. That box covers the electric meters. That's why we decided just to go straight up from the existing condenser. But we could go up the corner just like was proposed on the other side.
Under the electric meters and then straight up through the box, something like that.
Okay.
Could the condenser be moved to the right so the line can just go straight up?
I think the reason to put it in that location, if we went to the right of that window, it'd be too close to the gas meters. Those are gas meters that are there.
Right.
And then I don't know if there's.
I'm thinking to the right of the gas meters.
And the right of, all the way to the right-hand corner?
Like right below the number 21.
Right.
And just go straight up?
And then it would just go straight up from there. I don't know.
Before we get into our designing, from years of experience, I know that they don't allow you to place these units
Yeah.
directly underneath a window.
Okay. So this was simply a question.
Yeah, I'd be concerned about the gas meters, putting it there also. Probably
Okay.
not going to work.
Okay.
I think that Margot has a good idea, but the meter box could be temporarily removed, because I'm pretty sure it's just, it's very light frame inside that's screwed onto the house. And the line sets can go up the corner.
And then,
the box.
and then traverse at the
top.
fascia, at the top, rather than across the field of clapboards. Are the condensing units screened also?
They are.
Yeah. I think you're correct in requiring that line set be moved into a white painted location. Yes.
Any other concerns? Yes, Martin?
I'm seeing on the front here, you're changing the wood shingle to an asphalt shingle?
No.
No, we rescinded that. We're going to go with in-kind
You're
cedar.
reversing that statement?
Yes.
Okay. That's an all vinyl window you're proposing. Given that this is the hill
Seriously?
in a historic home, or historic structure, I should say, would you be willing to choose a better quality window than what you're proposing?
Yeah, I was under the impression that it's a wood window.
Exterior.
I was also.
I don't believe it is. I don't think Matthews Brothers makes a wood window.
Interesting.
Extruded.
Doesn't say anything as far.
And just that you can put a condenser unit under a window. I have one at my home under a window. But yeah, the window that you're choosing is a very low quality window. And I would hope that you'd match the header across the top.
Extruded white.
And maybe you're just kind of showing a general location of where that window is. But I would hope that you'd match the header and match the trims as well, the existing trims. Just to get detail oriented.
You're referring to number 23?
Yes.
So they line up.
The header should at least line up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, Martin is right. I see extruded white exterior and exterior pocket cover, or whatever that is. So it is indicating that this is just a vinyl window.
Okay. Okay. Let's,
So I think
Sounds
that
like-
they should come back with a more appropriate window.
okay. Yes.
The other thing on the line sets, like one of the previous approvals, on that back view of the house, it looks like there's some kind of electrical conduit or something going up, terminating just short of the number 23. And it looks like it's been painted to match the clapboard, so wherever the line set ends up, I guess the stipulation that it's painted to match the rest of the building, as they had done with the conduit.
Okay. All right. So should we, do we want to continue this?
I think so.
To allow them to come back with better windows and play around maybe with the line sets? Is another month going to be okay for your project?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, generally, I think this is a great,
Yeah.
this is a great plan. We just need to get the details buttoned down, and maybe you can even find the moldings that you're going to use for the new window, and Mr. Adams can bless them.
Does anyone have concerns about the existing windows?
They-
They're not.
They're the same, we've been down this road about 4 times recently.
Yeah.
And they're in the same kind of condition, if not worse.
Okay.
There's a stretch, I mean, you have to maintain windows.
Yeah.
And if you don't, this is what happens. The applicant may also, should be apprised of the idea that going to see Isaac, we have approved a number of window replacement on the Hill, and he has all of the information of what kind of windows we have habitually been approving.
Yes. Okay. Great. So let me get a motion to
Continue, so
continue
moved?
this till next month. Thank you.
Seconded?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Okay, so just be in touch with Isaac. He'll get you everything you need.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next month. Thank you. Okay. All right, number 3, the petition of Joan A. Schorsch, Revocable Trust of 2014, owner for property located at 53 Prey Street, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure, to include rebuilding the existing porch into a screen porch with roof deck, new roofing, new siding as needed, new windows, the replacement of gutters, and the replacement of a condenser with a new heat pump as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 102 as Lot 40 and lies within the waterfront business and historic districts. Welcome.
Good evening, Jennifer Ramsey, here on behalf of the applicant and with Ben Auger, the contractor. We were before you before the new year, so last year, with a work session, and our list was somewhat shorter at that point. It was that new work you're seeing there, as well as replacing the gate and fence. Since that time, our client, who still isn't reflected on the deed, has been able to purchase the house. We have the key. We've been able to use the last couple months to get inside and really explore. So it's been very educational for us to get in the home and around the home, and admittedly see it during some of these terrible winter storms and the ice we're experiencing, which allowed us to determine that the state of the home is a little lesser than we were than we understood it to be. So I also went back and found, as part of the sale, the owner gave us copies of a previous approval, so I could go back through and see in 2010 what was requested. And so in some cases, what we are seeing here is repair and refurbishment and re-siding or re-roofing is actually doing what they were approved to do then that perhaps didn't get done. And other things are just general repair to the home. You'll see pictures in the package with incredible ice dams. I've been in the home and seen definitive just leaks through the ceiling inside the occupiable space. So what we're hoping is we're going to get approval for these items that we talked about previously, which are the most changed, and then the approval for repair, replacement, refurbishment, and general maintenance to bring the home back up to a state where it's going to benefit and have longevity. So that list on the front page, I'll just quickly reference under the repair and replace. The fence and gate, we are replacing that. We're slightly moving it inboard of the site. There is a new gate. So it is a new gate in a fence that will look the same. It's going to be painted. It'll look very similar with the exception of the gate and where it dies into the corner of the post versus running in front of the post. We're doing a new copper roof over the kitchen, the shed dormers, and over the back bay. That copper roof was approved in 2010. It was not installed. There's wood shingles on that currently, so we're looking to bring that back up to par. The gutters are failing. We're looking to replace those in copper. The windows, though we thought they may have been not original, but certainly older, are Brosco windows. So we're looking to install LePage windows. We can do half screens on the double hungs, obviously, and a Brosco door is a new door we're installing. The roof we're looking to replace in kind. We really can't patch and match that, so it's going to be all replaced in the Western Red Cedar. We noted some failing conditions. We noted in the package, and I'll go through them, some incomplete conditions from the previous approval, and then we're replacing an older condenser with a heat pump. So the first couple sheets of the application are what you saw before. We have a site plan showing the building, the multiple outbuildings on the property, the locus map as far as where it is in town. The existing porch on the side there, you'll see that is what we are looking to replace as previously discussed. We'll build it new in its location. We'll match all the details, but there will be screen panels in lieu of it being open. And the roof will still be a copper roof with a pitch, but there'll be a sunken roof deck on top of that. And then I'm referring to window bay on this sheet as well, because that's the area where the current low roof that is shingles will replace with copper. And that kind of wraps around. The 2010 proposal was actually several additions to the home, which included this area. They expanded the dormer, they expanded the garage. There was a lot of variances. They went through planning and DES approval for all that work. On page 3, you'll see the second floor view, which shows the current roof over the porch and our new roof with the deck. It shows the new copper roof running across the whole back and over that kitchen bay, and then the new skylights, which are Marvin skylights we had talked about in our previous presentation. Page 4 is a series of images that do demonstrate some of the inconsistencies. The top 3 photographs, ice aside, the front dormer, you can see its eave detail is all finished. And on the back, if you look carefully, you're actually seeing the underside of the sheathing. So it's kind of like they just put a lid on that dormer. They didn't actually crown it or finish it. So that's probably causing some of the problems that we're recognizing. So we're going to match the eave detail that is on the front dormer on the back dormer and complete that detail. You'll also see some of the gutter conditions in that third photo, curious drops and elbows. And so all that will be replaced to match the new copper roof that will go on. On the bottom, I don't know if this would be considered a historic detail, but it's very subtle, but if you were to follow the clapboard lines across, you'd see that in the first photo, the sills vary from 1 3/4 to 2.5 inches thick. They're kind of all over the place. Either the windows are smaller or the sill is bigger. It's really hard to tell, but they were just plugging in those holes, I think. And then also, it's on the side, left-hand side of the house, which is more or less an alleyway between the two buildings. If you look carefully, you can see there's areas where siding was distinctly just replaced with new siding and possibly composite, because it's very perfect. It's painted to match, but it's clearly not woven in. It's put in just sections that were evidently filling in windows or doors on that side. So if we were to re-side, we would make this. Some of the siding is going to be fine. We can probably just repaint it, but the siding issue was more of a putting it back together where we need to make it look accurate. So that might be more of a patch and match than a full whole siding project. The front elevation is on sheet 5. You'll see the home as it is. And as we prepared for what we're going to do, there's the new screen porch, the new fence and gate with just a little more stylistic detail to it. This page also, during the sale of the home, there were 2 light fixtures that were taken. So we had, the specs are in the back, but you can see a picture of that light fixture before it was removed. We've had a lighting company measure and fabricate, and they're going to custom build them to match what was there. So most importantly, the front light fixture, because that gave it character. The back one is set in a recessed area. It's a little less detailed, but we'll be replacing those 2 to match what was previously installed. Page 6 is the side views of the home. And this is where, one point on this page is the condenser that's there behind that fenced wall. That's where our new heat pump will be located. And the front, let's see, we're calling it the front elevation, the side elevation here. This lower right elevation is where there's evidence of windows were filled in. So if you stand there, you see distinct lines of where the siding is very, very fresh and new. The back elevation, again, we're demonstrating the dormer conditions we'd like to repair. You're seeing the gate from the inside of the yard, the screen porch with the panels from the inside. There's their new metal roof, copper roof over what is asphalt. As discussed during our work session, that bay, the one-story bay on the furthest right side is the kitchen. The roof is canted a little bit. It's more like a slight salt box. We're just going to right that and improve the pitch a bit for the new roofing. There's also a picture on the top right of this where there's the light box from the fixture that was there that is no longer there, and we'll be replacing that with a square decorative glass and metal fixture to match. We did get a photograph of that before. This is a better picture of where it was in terms of showing you that location. You'll probably remember during our work session, one of the neighbors on Salter Street, which is they kind of share that waterfront behind and backyard, had expressed some concerns about privacy being lost. We met with them, and they actually presented us with what they would hope to see, which was to extend the arborvitae tree line. They felt that would actually provide them them privacy as well as the new owner's privacy. And so we're showing here the existing conditions where the arborvitae stop short, and the new is showing a series of 3 additional arborvitae. The lot curves there, so we're going to follow that sweep. And the neighbors were happy with this demonstration of providing both parties more privacy. And on the next couple sheets, so this is what LePage provided for an example. The interior of the windows are wood, the outside are not. But the next 3 sheets are the specs for the LePage windows in this application. Again, grills will match what is there. Simulated divided light. We'll do half screens. And we're also purchasing a door from them for that second floor roof deck. This should be just a couple more sheets there.
Jennifer, this picture that you show with the natural wood mahogany looking interior,
The interior, yep.
is that existing?
No, that's a picture from the LePage website that they said would most likely resemble what our windows will look like from the inside. This will not be what you will see unless you go to the home for a visit. but that they do have, the inside of the home is very much in the character of what you're seeing here. It's very wood paneled, dark, yes.
So these windows are not vinyl on the outside?
They're not, no. They use it's a fiberglass-like product, very much like the Marvin or the Pellas that we install. LePage, those windows they're in, like the Parkside building is all LePage windows and doors as an example downtown.
These, this says it's aluminum clad.
Oh, yes, right, yeah, thank you.
And you're going with mahogany or pine or red?
On the interior, I think that'll be, I don't know if the client's going to change the stain or finish of the interior, but I'm sure they'll do something that's complementary to their interior aesthetic.
Jennifer, you mentioned the difference in the sills in the
Yes.
front.
Yeah.
Was that just a matter of curiosity, or are you changing something?
Today we would make those equal and even and not vary so greatly. And that might be a place where we're also going to re-side so that we can get that to work. I'm not sure why they're so drastically different, if they just had thicker material that they plugged in over there, or if the window opening was different. These are Brosco windows with they have a storm over top of them. But it's a distinctly, when you stand there and you look, you can see the variable from once it's not a long home. So we would do it to be equal. 2-inch would be traditional of that detail. So those being new windows, we'd be taking that out. We would replace to make it, unless you liked it as it was. I don't think it's a historic detail. It seems this house has gone through some iterations. In fact, in 2010, the architect at the time presenting said he found some areas that he did not think were authentic, so he was proposing things to make it more authentic. So prior to that, someone had some arch top windows in the gables that looked like china cabinets. There was quite a a selection of pieces and parts. This is the front, a photograph of the front light fixture, a drawing that was created, which is going to allow the metal worker to recreate this fixture. So that will be replaced on the front. Right now, you're just probably seeing a very inexpensive hardware store light, just to provide some light and safety, but that will be what is installed. And then the next page should be the back. Oh, there's a close-up detail. Yep. More of the, yeah, that's more of his CAD drawing work, and then there'll be a backlight fixture if you keep scrolling down. That one. So that's what, you can see there's a photograph of it above. It's quite small, but we took the dimensions, and the same effort will go into recreating that light fixture. There's 2 lights on the garage that stayed in place. Those aren't going to change. They're in this same family. And then this is our heat pump. It's slightly narrower, slightly taller, still in the same location, tucked behind the house. No one can see it. That's right up against the row of arborvitae as well.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
the scope is expanded a little bit, but
Yeah.
we think it's all in the betterment of the project and relatively straightforward in terms of maintaining the quality of the home.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
I
Booth.
think you've put a lot of thought into this. It looks, like I said, very well thought out, very tasteful. I do have just one question. The second floor windows where you're going to have the walkout deck, I mean, clearly the door is going to have to be bigger than that window hole that was there. I didn't see anything on what the door was going to be other than the drawing here, but is that your intention then, that it would be, divided light on that door as in that?
It's slightly larger than the window that's in place, but it's in the same opening, so we're just going to widen it equally on both sides.
Okay.
I think it's growing to a 210 door.
I think that'll work well.
Yes, Mr. Ryan.
It's a great little house.
Yeah, it is.
Very simple. And some of the moves that you're doing seem to be a little more complex than I think are necessary. Your porch, I think what you want to do by having that walkout on the second floor is wonderful. I'm just wondering if you could tone down the detail a little bit by say, I'm looking at that porch, and you have a rail, you have clapboard, and then you have roof.
Yes.
What if you were to just start the roof at the base of the rail, where you have that coping, and start it there? Because right now, it looks a little fussy and over-detailed. Now, I'm just thinking, why do all those steps when you could really just, instead of 3 steps, 2 steps?
Sure. So you're suggesting take down the parapet, the solid clapboard section, and start the railing right at the top. Part of it was to provide some privacy, so when you're sitting there, you're not fully exposed. It is sunk into the deck a bit, so or to the roof rather. So we're trying to provide a little bit of, like, not fully out on display. If you look down the water elevation of that home, many homes have decks. They are the closest, so they're out there kind of proud and center, and everyone else sits back and looks, if they wanted to, at them. So part of it was from a privacy standpoint. That deck's off of a bedroom as well, so.
You're not gonna, it's not gonna change the amount of privacy. The rail's gonna still be at the same height, the top. It's just that the roof is gonna start at the base of the rail.
Oh, you're saying change the pitch of the roof, increase it essentially.
So it's simplified.
Yeah.
I think that would be less foreign to the architecture that's already there, and
only-
it'd be
yeah.
a little cleaner detail.
I think that would be fine. The only difference is as it wraps around, well, okay, because the roof over the window bay is steep. That would probably be, we could probably get it close to that, so those 2 roofs would be parallel to each other if you think about it, if you're looking at like the side or back elevations. I think that would be fine. Do you think, Ben, that they'd be opposed to that?
I don't see why you couldn't.
More roof? Do you want me to? We'd be steep, we'd be just be increasing the apron pitch of the metal roof around the sunroom. Okay. We could make that work. Would that be something you'd like to see redrawn, or do you trust me?
I could trust you.
Okay. Well,
Chair, I have no problem with Martin's suggestion. I think, as one person making a suggestion, we have to be careful that it's, the will of the board.
Yes.
So I'm just going to chime in now that I have no problem with this suggestion.
Okay, good, thank you.
Would you like to say something, Ben?
Yes, please.
Ben O'Shea, the contractor. One thing with the changing the pitch of the copper, one thing that we wanted to maintain was relatively low visibility of that copper, or the same visibility of that copper from the street. So now we're seeing that copper at a quite shallow angle. If we raise it, it's that much more prominent, I guess, which is a change, right? So that's just we can certainly build it steeper, but it also changes how that roof presents.
I think it'll be more in line with the existing.
Okay.
It'd be like what you have as existing, but with a column.
The baluster,
with,
yeah.
with a rail around
rails,
it.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
How does the rest of the commission feel? about
I
this
like
suggestion?
I like the simpler lines.
Okay, just making sure we're all in agreement. I'm fine with it too, so.
So what we're doing, just to be clear, what we're doing is eliminating the solid part of the rail.
The vertical.
Right.
Just carry that up.
The clapper did sort of
Yep.
wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
I just think it would simplify it, make it more, the simplification would make it fit more to the house that's currently there.
Sure.
You can play with it, figure it out. If it doesn't work or if you need to tweak it in some other way, you can certainly bring it back to us for administrative approval. and,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, I know next week's the deadline, and we could certainly get this looked at real fast and get it submitted for you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on the plan as they've showed us? It looks like all of the additions that you have here all look like good, improvements, and a lot of it probably really honestly falls under replacement in kind.
Right.
So it's as of right to do that anyway. Anyone from the public wishing to speak to, for, or against this? Okay. Nobody online, I'm assuming? All right.
Could I ask another question, though,
Sure.
Jennifer, please? Was there ever any thought of raising this building?
No, they actually, in 2010, they did a lot of work in the basement. They created kind of like the French drain is in there. They built up with some CMU around the periphery, and there's some type of a containment system that lets the water come in and goes back out, given their proximity to the resource. Okay. So the basement's in pretty decent shape, and changing it to raise it would start changing the character of its proximity to the street, and it's very charming in its closeness to the ground here. And
Just wondering, because that whole area is,
oh yeah,
yeah,
wet.
Yeah.
and
They
now would be
put some money into the
time
basement. I can tell you
that
that.
you're doing all this work on
I
it
know.
to, lift it up a foot or something.
Well, right now the problem is that the water's coming in from above, not below. So we're going to fix that.
Just wondering, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks. All right, if there's nothing else, I can close the public hearing and wait for a motion, and welcome to Councilor Blaylock. I don't know if you want to sit this out.
Yeah, I'll sit this one out.
Unless you want to
No, 'cause
catch up real fast?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wait for a motion to move forward.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it as presented with the idea of the roof changes as presented by member Martin Ryan as a change. And if they would bring in plans at an administrative approval.
Second that.
Okay, purpose and intent, it preserved the integrity, that's for sure, and assesses the historical significance of the house. Its review criteria are consistent with special and defining character of surrounding properties and compatibility of design with surrounding properties. That's it.
Great. Any other discussion or comments? I'd just like to say thank you again for a very well thought out plan, and look forward to seeing this house get some attention. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Hey, Bubby.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where are we now? Okay. Number 4, petition of the Mahar Family Revocable Trust. Mahar, I hope I'm saying it correctly. Of 2018, owner for property located at 50 Austin Street, wherein permission is requested to allow new construction to an existing structure to include a rear one-story addition and covered entry as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 136 as Lot 1 and lies within the General Residence C and Historic Districts. Thank you. Please
Good
introduce
evening.
yourself.
Is this correct?
Sure,
Sound?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was one typo here, and the name is Maher, and it's pronounced Mar. So,
Mar. Okay,
but
thank you.
you would have been right if it was an A.
Okay.
So, this project.
Can you introduce yourself
I'm
first?
sorry.
It's okay.
I thought I
It's
did
okay.
half of it. My name is Sky Mar, and I am part of this trust. And this is my contractor, who is John Crocker, and he's Grove Homeworks, and he's the man on the job.
Great.
So
Thank you.
he's
Welcome.
here to answer questions that I don't know anything about.
I'll try.
This project came before you, or at least I think 3 of you were on this board 5 years ago, maybe 4 of you. And we had a work session and hashed through lots of little details, and I'm hoping that we don't have much to do on it now. We have made one change, which is just an insertion of a door where there was a fixed window. I have asked to have a smaller fixed window and a new door on the side. That'll make it a little easier to get myself in and out of the building. This is going to be a residence for my husband and myself. We are taking 2 apartments on the first floor of this building and combining them into one. And this sunroom will be on the back and allow us to enjoy spring and fall. If you have any questions about the new door, perhaps we could address that first, and if there are other questions about the larger project, we can go back into that.
Yeah, so can you, it's sort of hard to tell from the existing photographs just because they're dark black and white copies. Can you present a little bit more clearly where this new sunroom was going, which of the doors that are changing?
We stop right there.
Yeah.
That is the rear of a building that was built as I don't know what this addition was built at. It had originally been a carriage house, and there's about a 15 or 18-foot addition on the back of the building that appears to have had a residential intent on it at some point. There are 2 odd doors in it. The one to the right that has a storm door on it is only about, I don't know, 26 inches wide. It's a very narrow door. And the one to the left, I think, was original to that addition on the building. I am proposing that the little sunroom will go from the left of the window, where there is a bulkhead, and it would enclose the bulkhead into an interior bulkhead or interior access, and it would go to the right of the door with the storm on it, terminating at the right side of that building. Do we have a picture of the back of the building entirely?
Oh, I think
There,
this one.
lovely. I think this will be a significant improvement in the appearance of the building, although no one really sees it. But I think it will be a much more interesting and a better look to it. The second door, the one that has the little steps in front of it, we are proposing to have as an open porch so that you could exit that onto a porch step, down to a granite step. And that is the piece that, it has just an overhang roof on it.
So, yeah, so essentially that elevation that we were just looking at is going to be replaced with this design.
Correct.
Okay. Yes, just for everyone else who has not seen this before, who was not here before, and I will be honest and say I'm not 100%, clear in my memory of what we went over in the work session way back when. So can you just present, and maybe this is for the contractor, present a little bit more about the materials and construction of this and the windows and things like that. You've got some beautiful drawings I see from Mr. Rawlings, or Rawling, excuse me, who we haven't seen in a while, but
Yes, I can give you some. We did submit the specifications for the windows. And they're a Marvin window. And we're proposing to have the windows built with a mulled, the fenestration and the transom mulled to the opening window. We see there 3 opening windows, and that would be the basic wall of the curve of the building, and fixed windows on both the right and left-hand side of the building. The panels beneath the windows, I believe, I think those are stock Roscoe pieces. Do you know what they are?
Yeah, Dan had specified boral as the material because it is sort of at grade. So between the panel detail, those moldings, and the water table detail, I think that would probably all be the boral composite. It's like a fly ash composite. The windows, I think, are specified as Marvin Ultimate, which is an aluminum clad window, similar to some others, with a wood interior.
Great. Okay. Any questions? Yes.
I have a question. What happens to the original window and door on the right that'll now be enclosed in the sunroom? It's a pretty sunroom, but I'm not sure what you're doing to the back of the house.
Well, that window goes currently into what will be our dining room area, so it's there. And the door goes into what is the kitchen, and it will remain a door. The interior door is not original. It's just a single pane door now.
So there'll be no change on the brick or the lintels?
No.
I see. It's a cute little sunroom. No one's going to see it. You
I know.
protected that one little tiny yard of yours, but I like the design.
Anyone else? Any other questions, comments?
I recall this design, and I thought it was 2 years ago, but
Time flies.
so I think this is a wonderful little design. I have take no issues with it, and I think I can support this.
Liked it the first time, like it the second time.
Anybody else? Okay.
Just a question for a board member. Mr. Wyckoff, what's your thought about the roofing material?
So we are looking at a compacted gravel? Oh, that's the foundation.
It's described as a shingle of some sort.
True definition shingle.
It looks like a 1.5 inch pitch.
Oh, it's more than that, David.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say it's almost a 4. I would think it would be acceptable.
Okay, it's.
You know they're going to ice and water shield the whole thing.
That was specified as well to add on the whole roof deck.
Okay, well, there you go.
All right, great. Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak to for or against this project? All right, seeing no one rise, and assuming no one's online, I'll close the public hearing and wait for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second?
It is compatible with the surrounding properties, and it is consistent with the special and defining character of the surrounding properties, which sounds repetitive, doesn't it? So I'll also say that it that it maintains the special character of the district.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're on to public hearing number 5, the petition of R.A. Morton Holdings, LLC, owner for property located at 101 Market Street, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure to include replacement of the existing slate roof with asphalt shingles as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 106 as Lot 41 and lies within Character District 5, Downtown Overlay and Historic Districts. Hi, welcome back. So this is the part of the application that kind of got glossed over last month, so thank you for coming back with us.
Absolutely.
Yes, if you'd like to, please introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Tim Jaguar from TMS Architects, architect of record, and my associate here.
Dan Santa Cruz.
Also from TMS. The shirt didn't give it away.
All right, so yes, please just give a quick presentation of what you're looking to do.
So can you guys hear me all right from this
Yes.
distance?
Yeah.
What they're looking to do is, the roof's leaking. We're trying to, preserve historic buildings as much as anything, and part of that is making sure they're weather tight. The slate's in really bad shape. There's parts of it that's fallen off. We had a roofing contractor go up there who's the one that kind of wrote this report. Basically said, it is kind of a danger. Slate might be starting to fall off here. They're looking to replace it with a nice high-grade architectural asphalt shingle. I think that, obviously we're biased, it's our opinion, but I think it fits well with the height of this building, how far up it is, the angle of the slope of these roofs. And then the other major factor is that part of this roof already has an existing asphalt roof on it. So we're just asking to kind of rip off the existing slate, the existing asphalt, and redo the roof. Part of this project will also be repointing some of the brick on the parapet wall, which is in bad shape. But we're hoping to, make this thing weather tight so it can last another, 300 years. Optimistically.
All right, great. All right, any questions or comments? All right, yes, Mr.
I
Whitehead?
mean, I would agree with him concerning the angle of the roof and the height of the building, although I hate to see, slate go, but it's all reaching the end of its life throughout Portsmouth. Some of it is 175 years old.
Yep.
It is, and then the other part of it is, I know we're not supposed to think about that, but is the monetary cost of looking at the overall project, right? The clients are trying to salvage the entire building, and you kind of have to pick and choose your budget, unfortunately, of where you can spend that money to, preserve the historic significance of it, and where, you, I think, need to, just preserve the nature of the building and hopefully make it last.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll agree. It's the slate obviously is disappearing, fastly, which is unfortunate. But this roof can only really be seen from like the 100 Club, and that's it. You really can't see it anywhere from the street. So I really don't. Yeah, I don't see. I appreciate what you guys are doing to save this building, and it is a big project. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to take a different angle on this. We're losing our slate roofs, and that's a bad thing. And I'd hate to see another slate roof disappear. I specifically drove past this to get here tonight. You can see the roof. You can. I'm trying to think of the street. It's a.
Excuse me.
If you're at the entrance of the parking garage, you can clearly see the roof. So I would ask: Have you looked at composite slate? You know, a faux slate as an alternative.
The front roof now is an asphalt roof, so it's the backside roof facing Ceres Street. That's the slate. So looking from the parking garage, you're seeing the existing asphalt roof now. But to answer your question, no, they didn't look at synthetic slate.
Okay. That does factor in. So I'm going to let others speak before I make a decision on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. I'll just say that yes, you can't, I did look around. You can't really see this. It's not a major visual part of the building, especially along Market Street. It's all asphalt. And yeah, no, I agree. It's hard to see slate roofs go, but there's only so much you can do when it is at the end of its life. And it is a very costly thing to do, to repair, re-slate an entire roof. So I'm fine with this. Again, the overall project to bring these buildings to, bring them up a little bit in terms of how they are and all the window replacements you're working on and everything. So I see this as an easy sort of concession, if you will, if you have to think about it that way.
Yeah, I'm also torn on this. The one argument that I could make for keeping the slate in this particular building is because the size of this particular roof relative to some of the other slate roofs around is small. So it's almost as if it's less expensive for us to save some of our sample slate roofs if we're just choosing small ones here and there. But that doesn't change the economics for the homeowner, which I totally get. And they are putting a lot of money into saving a lot of the rest of the building. So I'm also sad to see it go. I think we should save as many as we can. I'm just not sure that this is the one to get into an argument over.
Any other?
We're throwing stuff in the pile here. Is the slate roof on this building contributing to the district? I think the answer has to be no. And we're talking about, because this is not my interest, in case you don't, but the reality is we're talking about saving the slate roof, and we're not. We're not saving the slate roof, because the slate here at the end of 175 years or more, I don't know, it's past its service life. No rational roofing contractor is going to put these slate back on the roof. I've done that sort of thing, but not with slate in this condition at this age. Turn of the century slate we reuse. This stuff we don't. So we can't save this roof, which is one of the things that we try to do is to hang on to stuff, extend its life expectancy. We are just really talking about what we're going to replace it with, and whether we're going to replace it with real slate, fake slate, or asphalt. And it's half asphalt now. I hate to say this, but I think we're best kicking this can down the road, let them put the asphalt on this. It will not disserve the district in the process. And maybe at some point, 25 years from now, they'll feel a little bit less pinched by the new sashes and the work that they're doing, and they'll want to step up. but it's not, I don't think it's our call tonight.
Great. Any other comments or questions? All right. Anyone from the public wishing to speak to, for, or against this project? All right, seeing no one rise, nobody in line, I'll close the public hearing and wait for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
With the purpose and intent to conserve and enhance the property values and review findings of fact is compatibly designed with surrounding properties.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for coming back on this one. All right. All right, number 6, petition of Matthew Morton Associates LLC, owner for property located at 87 Market Street, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure to include removal and replacement of existing wall-mounted condenser units to new locations with screening and the installation of new roof-mounted condenser units as per plans on file in the Planning Department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 106 as Lot 43 and lies within the Character District 5, Downtown Overlay and Historic Districts. Hello again.
Hello, Tim Jaguar, TMS Architects.
Thank you. All right, please present this.
Yeah, so as you can see on the left, the existing building, there's a few air conditioner units hanging out the window, and then down low, there's some exchangers for mini splits that are kind of hanging off of the wall with a white fence on it. Some of the fence has fallen off or just wasn't made to get more airflow in there, and you can kind of see those condensers. In the proposed, when you look at to the right, and actually if you could leave both images up, I can kind of explain. The box that you see as the red down low, that is the condenser unit that you see over on the left of the picture. So we're actually proposing to remove that whole condenser and move it up to the upper left of the balcony that you see in that photo. Oh, Dan, can you go point to that if you don't mind? Oh, perfect. Does this work, or am I messing you up? Should I just stop clicking things?
Yeah. Just don't touch it.
You can come up and be our Vanna White, just don't touch the
Yeah.
screen.
So if you want to point to where the existing one is in red, yeah, and then we are moving that location up to the left. So a couple things it does is it is a kind of a back alley series street, not really, but these things make it feel like it. We're taking this up out of the pedestrian scale as you're walking by and you're going to Izzy's and whatnot, and putting it up higher, which is going to help. There's also some trees over on the left-hand side that will help kind of block this a bit and kind of keep it out of sight, out of mind. The one on the right that is there is going to remain, but we're going to redo the cover of that. Both of these covers, and I'll talk about a little bit of the style of the cover right now, we are proposing to do out of Walpole. I guess it's a close. It's a co-cellular, like non-rot composite component that can be applied a paint, so it looks like a painted wood product. We're going to make like a little fenestration on it. It's the slats that you see is there's airspace in them, so it allows the air to go through. It'll allow the mini splits to operate, but screening them visually from everyone. We put a pattern on it to give it a little, texture and undulation. Little interest if you do look up and see them, but all intents and purposes, we're just trying to, put lipstick on the condenser units hanging off of the side of the building now and make them look a little bit better.
I think that's a really interesting approach that we haven't seen before. So, yes, Mr. Adams.
I noticed in the drawing of your proposal that there aren't any air conditioning units hanging out the windows of the building. Are they all going away?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. There'll be mini splits up on the roof, which I think is part of this proposal, right?
Yeah.
We've seen them.
Yeah. So the idea, again, is taking them out of the pedestrian scale, putting them up high where maybe you've seen from the 100 Club, but for the most
That
part.
fits in with the program of the Historic District of making all of our architecture more accessible and visually with people.
I totally agree. I think when you think of, for me, historic Portsmouth, it's, about the pedestrian walking by, being able to touch, feel things, and, just getting that out of their eyesight so they're not like, condenser unit.
Of alleyways in various places in the world, this is a very popular one.
Yeah.
Next question. I think this is a place you could put some slate.
Okay.
What do you think?
Where? On the roof?
On the roofs. This is visible slate roofing. In the back of the building where there's slate roofing now. And you've got a bunch of slate.
In poor condition. I don't know what the...
Not every single one, you know that.
That is true. It is a big expense, and I don't know the condition of this roof. Is this roof part of the...
You're talking about the condenser roofs, correct? Or the roof of
You're talking about the little roofs on the.
Yeah, two little gable roofs or pitched roofs.
I mean, it's
you know where we're going here.
I know where you're going. You're trying to
just thought I'd mention
push a
that.
little, give a little. I will say, same as the other thing. I think the slope of this and the height of it, no one's going to see it, and it's going to be an additional expense for the clients. I get what you're getting with though, and it's a double-edged sword, right? We hate seeing the slate go in the historic district, but there's a thing that says, if there's a historic piece of wood inside of that wall, no one sees it. Is it still historic?
Part of your argument a minute ago was that the slate roof wasn't visible, and
yeah. So you think this is more visible in this?
I think that they're
As
visible.
you come around the corner.
If you're,
If you go over, scroll to the left.
If you're on Penn Hollow Street, you're gonna be able to see both of them.
In the photograph right there, you can see the one. You can see that it's a little wood shingle roof on that little thing. So, again, that's a suggestion by one. I don't know. If
Are you
everybody
talking the
feels-
little roofs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I think the little roofs could.
The two little roofs.
Just the condenser roofs.
Yeah. She's not talking the big roof. It's like
No, just the.
a bit over that.
I'm not interested in having a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. It is. It's a tough thing to concede for my clients, just on a cost basis. But it's something that we could review and determine. I don't know if we're ready to make that concession.
I think it's recommended as a consideration since you have the material. You wouldn't have to buy any new material, and it's a very small, two tiny roofs over condenser covers. It's just a suggested consideration. Yes, Mr.
I mean, we just gave up, excuse me. Excuse me?
Well, let him.
Okay.
That's a good question. Sorry. The other thing that they were saying is that this would happen before the slate roof and a construction timeline thing. So if we did do slate, it wouldn't be that slate.
You're going to have brand-new covers on your brand-new air conditioning units, and then you're going to go up and take the slates off the roof afterwards?
I believe so, just
I
with
don't think so. I think you're going to do the roofs first.
Yeah, they're different buildings, technically owned by 3 separate owners.
So I'm going to say, though, that as far as push and shove goes here, we have just given up possibly 10 square of slate roof.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing that 10 square, and we're allowing you to replace the slate roof with asphalt. And all we are asking is 2 small roofs over these condenser units.
So John, just out of
Slate.
clarification, these are 2 different projects. They're 2 different buildings.
They're not. What do you?
We are.
So the slate roof is on the next 2 set of structures.
So they're all,
I'm
it's
wrong.
all connected, but they are.
Yeah, they're all
technically-
connected.
They're
Yeah.
technically 2 projects, 2 different buildings, so. 2 different owners.
Yes.
So-
So
Love it.
But it's
My
great
apologies.
idea. Sometimes you have
sorry,
to
but
work
it-
through these ideas to
No,
try and save
I
things.
totally agree with everyone's intent, and I think that's what's great, where we can talk about it and, sound it out.
Pardon me for introducing that. In the piece of paper that I have before me, it says that they're both owned by the same holding company. That's what it says. So you can call
it's
it
very
anyway.
similar. It's owned by I think they're all related, but one's R.A. Morton Holdings, LLC, and the other one is Matthew Morton Associates, LLC.
There you go.
There you go.
My bad.
All right. Yes.
Same, but kind of not.
Okay.
Great.
If I could just,
Yes, please.
if I could just add, you wouldn't want to use that slate that's up there because it's brittle. It's been baked out.
That's
It's
all.
brittle.
Yeah.
You want new slate.
But you could get new slates. I mean, we're talking some short, amount of area here. I would rather, if it's not slate, I'd rather see metal, or possibly you don't put a roof on it. You just build up, like the box terminates. You get more airflow that way. But the asphalt's a little ticky tacky on those little additions. So I think the instinct is right that let's do something a little dressier on those roofs,
Mhm.
if there's roofs at all.
Yeah.
So why can't we take the roofs off the proposal? Have them come.
The roofs are actually helpful with snow, keeping them off the condensers and allowing them to operate throughout the winter.
Okay.
Talking with the clients, they would be willing to concede to metal if it's something that the board is willing to kind of put as a stipulation and get it approved.
Vice Chair.
So I'd like to talk about the design of
Okay.
the covers themselves. And I totally see you have to have air and all of that, and you're trying to dress them up a little bit so they don't just look like big
Fences.
vertical panels of stuff. And the thing that I'm struggling with a little bit is the juxtaposition of warehouse buildings with balconies with fancy New Orleans wrought iron, and then you have these boxes that are large. They're about 18 inches deep off of the building, right?
Correct.
And they're about 5 feet wide.
Mhm.
And then you have this sort of additional design on top of them. And my question to you is, because you have some other fancier detail showing below, other samples, what made you settle on this sort of diamond pattern? Were there other ones that you considered? What was your thought process on this?
You kind of hit it on the head, I think, with, looking at these buildings. I was actually kind of surprised doing the research at how old these buildings are. These are like 1700s. And, I don't think those wrought iron things are original to, 1700s colonial Portsmouth, but who knows? And, I didn't want to get something that's so ostentatious to kind of mimic off of that, but I didn't want something that was so simple to kind of, make it look like it's just a fence hanging off of the side. I thought this was, a nice happy medium that kind of gave a little bit of detail, a little bit of relief. It's obviously opinionated whether you like that pattern or not, but, the clients like that. And I think overall, contextually, it fits within the vernacular of, kind of that whole street without, it dresses it up a little without kind of making it like, ooh, what the heck is that, kind of thing.
And although we have no purview over paint, the idea was that it would all be monochromatic.
Correct.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. And then below the unit that is staying in its location, there's this heavy box in mechanical.
Yes.
That will be staying the way it is. It's not being changed or incorporated into the screening and structure that you're talking about.
Well, it looks, is it?
Yes, it's going to be staying most likely. We're kind of working with the mechanical units now, and we're hoping we can kind of squish everything up inside of that box that's shown. But If not, then it would stay kind of as it is, kind of underneath it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are probably several hundred different designs you could put on these boxes, and trying to figure out which one strikes that balance between, oh, look at that big, huge white thing hanging off of the brick building, and striking that is difficult.
Yeah, especially when they're so close to the, that ornate wrought iron piece.
I just wanted to add that I love the fact that you're doing this, regardless of some of the back and forth about how it's being detailed. I'd like to, at some point, turn to other applicants in the future and go, this is how it should be handled. So
send them my way. Send them my way.
So I'm sure you guys do fine as architects. So I don't have a problem with the pattern. I think it's perfect. I think it kind of breaks up the massing of it. So I'm very supportive of this. If we can get through that, how you cap that, it'll be perfect.
Yeah, I think a nice metal would look good, kind of fit the character and do the function of keeping the snow off of those things.
Agreed.
I think it would
I
solve
agree.
it.
That would be standing seam kind of metal. That would.
Something that, I mean, we could, if that is a stipulation, they can bring back whatever design they decide to do for a metal roof for admin approval.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I just want to agree with the idea of covering these things. We see them every once in a while hung on the sides of buildings, and this is the first time we've really seen like a thoughtful screening on such a visible part. So I think the design is fine. It's an introduction of a new piece to this building, and so it needs to be new. I think that you've, struck a good balance of not being too crazy and mimicking, the wrought iron, or, not being too plain. So, any more? Yes.
Yeah, just one other question. I don't see any suggestion of ventilation for the kitchen of this restaurant. And that's kind of, it can be a very serious thing. And
It is, and it's not something that we're planning on sneaking in there. It's something that we're still working on, and honestly, we'll probably be back in front of you guys to talk about that portion of it. It's what? It's a duck. I've been told it's a ductless.
I understand that, but what we
So it wouldn't affect
what we
the
wouldn't
exterior.
want to see would be two large rocket ships on the outside of the building heading up towards the roof.
Hi, I'm Adam Mann. I actually will be the restaurant that's going in here,
Yes.
Walrus and Whale. So it is a very difficult building to vent. You have correctly pointed that out. That's why for years it has sat vacant and restaurateurs have passed it by, because there's no easy way to vent it. So what we're doing in the kitchen is we're going ventless, meaning there is no exhaust to it anymore. All of the equipment has its own vent internally. And what happens is we bring the cool air is brought in through those condensers. That exhaust air you see over there brings in the makeup air, but there's no additional need for additional ventilation on top of the roof or on the side of the building.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
New world.
Technology. And speaking of that, though, I did want to just point out what we haven't talked about was the rooftop condenser units. So I just wanted to point out, in case anyone had any comments or questions about what's happening on the roof. Okay. All right.
Are they just sitting on top of the slanted?
Dan, you probably could speak better to that.
Are they on brackets, or they?
I believe they'll be on a bracket system.
And I'm looking at the drawing with what looks like a very large old vent on the top. Is that the old
Yes,
Dolphin
that's existing
striker
to
vent?
remain, yep.
Okay, is it going to stay, or are you going to take it off and cap it in some way? So you're leaving it as a
They're going to
just in
leave it
case.
as, yeah, just in case vent.
And that's on the front slope of the.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other questions? I think we are mostly resolved. Anyone from the public wishing to speak to or against this project? All right. Once, seeing no one rise, no one online, close the public hearing and wait for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented with the stipulation that the caps of these projected elements be brought back to us for admin approval.
I'll second that.
Is metal roofs.
With metal.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, discussion? Findings of facts?
Preserves the integrity of the district and is consistent with the special and defining character of the surrounding properties.
And it makes some really lovely improvements to Ceres Street. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Great to get rid of all those.
We're on to 2 more work sessions for tonight. Yeah, not bad on time. Good job. Nice work, everyone. We're going pretty quickly. Work session A is the work session requested by PNF Trust of 2013, owner for property located at 266 to 278 State Street and 84 Pleasant Street, wherein permission is requested to allow the construction of a new 4-story mixed-use building at 266, 278 State Street, and the renovations of an existing structure, 84 Pleasant Street, as per plans on file in the Planning Department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 107 as lots 77, 78, 79, and 80, and lie within the Character District 4 Downtown Overlay and Historic Districts. All right, should we all move down?
You don't even feel it.
I don't have a, does anyone have a charger, iPad charger on them?
I don't.
Okay.
You can share with somebody.
Sounds good, okay. Down to about 10%.
I looked at mine, it said 19%.
You can go ahead.
Hello again.
Hello.
All right. So, all right, please introduce yourselves again, although we know you quite well at this point.
Well, it's good to see you all again. I'm Chris Mulligan from Hopeful Phoenix, the attorney for PNF, and you know Michael Keene, the architect for the project.
We know him well.
Go way back.
Yes, we go way back.
On one project.
And you go way back with this project. So just a couple of sort of procedural housekeeping details to get on the table. At the last work session, there was some discussion regarding the cornices and some detail that you wanted to see. We've provided a proposal and we've discussed with city staff the fact that the cornices will overhang the public right-of-way approximately 12 inches, which is similar to what was the existing conditions back when the Times Building was existing. That is going to require a license from the city, so we've prepared, we haven't filed it yet, but we're going to be submitting a request to the city council. So we need that approval as well on top of all the other board's approvals. I don't anticipate that being a huge issue, but it's a step we have to take. What may be potentially more problematic is the Board of Adjustment has granted a rehearing on the variance that was granted for the 84 Pleasant Street portion of the project. So that height variance, we're going to be back before the board, hopefully to get that reaffirmed or reapproved. That's a height variance of 50 feet and 4 stories, where what we're entitled to by right is 45 feet and 3 stories, plus a short fourth if we choose to use a mansard. So if we don't get the variances, it's very likely that we're going to be back before you with that portion of the project with a mansard roof, so we can get the short fourth. We may need additional relief to make sure they can marry the idea here is to have the floor levels align with the replicated Times building structure. So in order to do that, we may need additional relief. So it could be significant if we lose that variance. I mean, it may jeopardize the Times building portion of it as well.
Okay, well, give it your best.
I will give it my best. And, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we think this is a better design. I mean, what we've proposed for that proposed fourth story was, I think, in response to feedback that we had received from this commission, dissuading us from moving forward with a mansard. I don't think it's really appropriate here.
No.
But March 18th, if you all want to come, you're residents and you can speak.
Yeah.
But so that's it from sort of the legal perspective, and Michael can obviously explain the design.
Thank you.
So if we start with some low-hanging fruit, I'm going to apologize. One of the things we talked about was the mutton pattern in the Times building, and it didn't get changed graphically in this set. They're still showing 9/9s. In the package that you have, historically they were 6/6. I've made the change in the model, so going forward we'll be seeing 6/6 mutton patterns in the Times building replacement windows. And the other thing that I had noticed is the storefront of what we're calling the Floros building, which is the corner of State Street and Pleasant Street, hasn't caught up with the taller cornice line yet. So the entrance doors there are sort of squat doors with large transoms over them. We'll be going back and revisiting that, probably getting the taller doors so that the transom line in the storefront runs consistently across. So the two main items that came out of our last meeting, I think, were the cornice overhang and the placement of the windows on the back side of the interior side of the 84 Pleasant Street addition, as we're overlooking that little condenser farm out there. So we've gone back and looked at the cornice. The original cornice was basically made out of primarily brick. There's a little bit of a gutter line that was a metal gutter line in the original design up there. I've gone back and reviewed again what the Brick Institute is recommending or allowing for corbelling detail at the top. And without an engineered solution of that brick, I can't get that brick to stick out the way that it was, that full 12 inches in a 4-inch brick veneer wall. I'm basically limited to about half of the width of the veneer, so nominally 2 inches. So working with that parameter, I've come up with this sort of profile where we corbel out, corbel back in, and then 2 steps corbelling out, and then we're proposing to finish out the rest of that overhang and pick up the dental detail and things like that in a fabricated metal profile. The samples that I've sort of shown here, the detail is the profile at the top that I'm proposing. The picture to the right of that just sort of shows an example of an assembled cornice using these metal prefab pieces. They are able to, or the expansion joint detail that they use, they can replicate stone if you want. That wasn't our intention to put a stone cornice up there, but that is available to us. And then you can see there's a variety of supplemental pieces that we can add on there to add frieze and dental details and things like that. So if this looks like it's going in the right direction for you, we can now take that back, finalize that profile, get the fabricator to give us a good detail on what we're proposing for those components going up from there, and then to move ahead with that. And I guess at this point confirm that 12 inches, which was, it's been verified by the original survey, 12 inches is what that overhang was. If we're happy with the 12 inches, then we can proceed with the license with the city and let them know that we're at the 12 inch.
I would just like to say, this certainly makes sense. I mean, you can't do it with the veneer. Simple, I think, is the word here. This was sort of an industrial building, you know, in the middle of Portsmouth here, as the printing presses and all that sort of stuff are all in here. So I don't think that, you know, you need to really get involved in dental moldings and all that. I would almost say that what you're presenting here is maybe a little bit too much. That, you know, it just needs a simple OG and a projecting cornice, and, you know, that might be enough, is what my thoughts are.
Anybody else have thoughts?
I couldn't disagree more.
I feel good.
I think what you provided is very appropriate, and I appreciate the efforts being made to get us closer to what we had before. And I think we should have something in our zoning that says, you know, 24 inches is acceptable if it, you know, over the public way with a historic cornice for some of our buildings. So, I'm pretty sure you'll get what you need, I would think. And I would hope we would endorse a very appropriate cornice that matches what was there before.
What do you think of what the picture that he's presented here?
I think that's a sort of a compromise.
Yeah. I have no problem with it.
Here's a detail of what was up there, just for,
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's not Versailles, but it's you know, it's not simple and plain either.
No, it's Frank Jones complicated. Whoever the Masons were.
Bless their souls. I appreciate your efforts in pursuing this. I think for a grand replica of a building, you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
I agree. I think I appreciate the detail, you know, of making it, the building special, you know, not just a brick box, but actually trying to, yeah, it's unique. You know, it's got an important part in Portsmouth's history, so, but yeah, I'll be doing everything to support this going through.
Thank you.
What about the flags?
Flags.
Yes, we want
the flag.
The bunting.
We still have all the little spots on the sidewalks with the flag day. There we go.
Any other thoughts, opinions on the Corbelline?
I think you've done a great job of replicating it, and you definitely have something here that enhances Portsmouth, so.
Thank you.
Can I
Yep.
the band above the arched windows, what are we looking at there?
I'm planning on that being granite, which is what was there.
Granite?
Yeah. Yeah, granite keystones, granite band across there.
Now, will it be flush, or are we looking at a little bit of a?
It stands proud by an inch or so. It's not heavily detailed.
Okay.
Maybe not even an inch, half an inch.
It should be better. More texture, more profile.
Yeah.
Stronger shadow lines.
I guess if we got a 12-inch overhang, we could do an inch up there. Yeah.
Capture that.
All right. Okay, well, it sounds like you've got general support to move forward to this, so, thank you.
So then the other issue that had come up was the punched windows that were shown across the interior of the step-back addition on the 84 Pleasant Street. Again, I made them a little bit deeper, a little bit wider. I grouped them together, molded them together, and then grouped them a little bit differently. Trying not to go overboard on this because it does look out on a condenser farm down below. This is it's along a corridor. Yeah. And really think that particularly from most of Pleasant Street, this is set back 20 or 25 feet off of Pleasant Street and up behind the ridge of the roof. So trying not to go overboard on that.
So are those condensers on a flat roof?
Yes. Yeah. We'll take the backside of the ridge off of.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been following the travails of the HDC, but we have had a problem with approving condensers. And then apparently the code or contractor or somebody says they have to be elevated 18 inches off the roof, the flat roof, and so all of a sudden they're pretty tall.
I've tried to take that into account in
Okay.
where we are right now.
All right.
Obviously, the system hasn't been designed yet, so I don't know the absolute size of those condensers. But whenever I go back and look at it, I'm trying to look at what's the largest condenser package that could be there, and then it would be up on legs.
That was quite a surprise for us.
We had a project that they were blindsided by what the actual requirements were by the time. So don't hesitate to pursue your parameters.
I think by the time we come back for the public hearing, we'll have that further resolved. I don't know if it'll be completely resolved because that, again, is an engineering solution that's.
Well, like I say, we have one that they thought they were and they weren't. And it caused, so far, an unresolved amount of consternation with their neighbors. And it doesn't land well in our laps. Yeah, we didn't do it, but it was done. Can I ask you a question, and this is probably way out of bounds, but I don't know anything at all about what the plans are for the first floor of the wooden business building that remains.
The
I
former
missed-
Louis.
Pardon?
The former Louis restaurant.
I'm sure that that's what it was. I don't know that.
I think it's going to be Gallagher's sport.
But I missed that whole conversation that I think probably everybody else feels like is put to bed. But I am at some point going to be called upon to, and I don't see enough here to carry me through a decision.
Yeah, no, please.
Well, we don't know who the tenant would be, but it's intended to be a commercial use, whether it's a restaurant or a retail.
But
or
it has
office, I don't know.
a very strong 1962 first floor facade that is in some respects falling apart, being held together with banding metal and drywall screws. Do I need to go further? Or?
Our proposal is to replace that with a more colonial.
I don't, my ignorance here, I know nothing about it other than this doesn't tell me anything. So
well,
there were more details.
I'm sure there are, but and again, addressing that, my ignorance here.
But that definitely, that mid-century modern storefront is being replaced, being brought out to the street line, recessed doors, and then detailed out in a.
Something more appropriate to the
Yes.
building that it is in.
Yes.
That's
And,
terrific.
and hopefully it still holds that you're working with the neighboring building, that is, it's all one building, the neighboring owners who, I
Have
think
been
the
doing
plan.
a bang-up job.
Absolutely, and I think that, if I remember, there was a plan to work with them to take off the siding and, put back the, clapboards so that it's continuous again along the front.
Well, I mean, they've kind of gotten ahead of us at this point,
Yes.
so now we've got to go back and look at whether or not. I mean, obviously our intent is to match up with
Okay.
whatever we can.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, yes, there was,
I'm
timelines
sure.
have changed, but there was, I know, the intent to redo the whole building along with the neighbors, so that the whole thing has
So
the
the-
siding comes up, or the the aluminum siding or whatever's on there right now comes off so that it's continually clapboards.
These are words I've never heard. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
I like the proportions of the windows. Thank you.
I had a question. What is it that we're intending for the materials of that wall? Is
Which
it
wall?
siding? Sorry,
Yellow.
what you see as yellow, where the new windows, where you've redone the windows.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a siding, likely not clapboards.
Okay.
Definitely not ephes or stucco or anything like
Okay.
that. So, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, because everything is just one color at this point, but I kind of know where the clapboard is and where the brick is, but, okay. Any other comments on the windows, that section there, that it really is not going to be very visible from the street, but
Yeah, I think this does you a disservice, this view. I don't think you'll ever see that view.
No, just
And
the
when I-
people, just the people in the apartment up over,
This view.
just the people upstairs.
right, because it's taken too, like, in
Yeah.
from inside the building across
Well
the street.
into the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
And I think if, yeah, you might want to just pull that tighter. And I think you, I don't like what's up there, but I know you're not going to really see what's up there.
If it's still available to us, when we came for the public hearing the last time, we were able to import our model into the city model, and then we could see it from all around. So I think once we've got things refined, so that the city's not, staff isn't having to redo it 100 times. Once we get that pinned down, we'd probably like to import that again so we can physically see it from
Excellent.
street view.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
It may be wholly my problem. I just thought it looked an awful lot like we were looking at a correctional institution or something like that.
Absolutely. It's not a great, but I'm sure that it's not great.
Well, this is why I asked about materials. I feel like, if it's some sort of softer material, if it's not quite that institutional yellow and green that it is right now, I think it probably can look a little bit better.
I think when you see it in the rendering, that
Yes,
might
the
just,
rendering is a little bit better.
Yeah, it's toned down. It has to do with how the sun's hitting the model. And
Sure.
It almost lends itself to good old institutional dark bronze or something, that every storefront was.
I agree.
Any other questions, anything else you want to go over for a work session to get responses?
I think if we're heading the right direction
Yep.
in this, I think we need to get over our other approvals.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, if we get our variance sort of reaffirmed, then I think we're probably at the point where we could file a formal, application for a certificate of approval concurrently while we're going before the
We
planning board.
like to say Bob's your uncle. That's all.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far in the work sessions and
Yeah.
get the thing pinned down. So I probably won't be ready for the April meeting, just because there's other detail that we had to add to the project since the Times building was.
Oh, I feel like you've got a lot to pull together
Right.
before an actual public hearing.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of it for
Sure.
the other proposal, but now we've got to sort of get into the Times building and get the brick right, get the windows right, and the detailing right, and all that sort of stuff in there. So I'll probably know better once we get into it, whether it's another work session or a work session / public hearing sort of thing. But
great.
I think if we're heading the right direction and we get everything,
Great.
obviously, if things don't go well at the Board of Adjustments, we may be back to see you.
Well,
We'll all be there.
yeah. We'll be hoping
Well, you
that
wanna
goes
keep
smoothly.
our
If there's nothing more, what we can do is just continue it just in case you want to come back for a public hearing, for another work session, and if not, you don't have to.
So could we continue it to May? And just
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So, to be clear, it was a continuance to May.
Yep.
Thank you again.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
The next one is our last work session of the evening. It is work session requested by 445 Marcy Street LLC, owner for properties located at 445 Marcy Street and 20 Prey Street, wherein permission is requested to allow the demolition of the existing candy store structure and the new construction of a single-family home with detached garage at 445 Marcy Street, and the new construction of a single-family home with a detached garage and accessory dwelling unit at 20 Prey Street, as per plans on file in the Planning Department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 101 as lots 3 and 3-1 and lies within the General Residence B and Historic Districts. That was a mouthful. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. Tracy Kozak, Arco of Architects, here on behalf of the applicant. 3 years ago, we were here with the applicant on their own behalf. They have since, they have agreement to sell the property, and this design is for the new buyer with a different program and a different design. So we still take to heart the work sessions we had last time, which we didn't complete as we approach this new owner and the new design. It is 2 lots now, 445 Marcy and 20 Prey Street, which is the one behind it, and both are proposed to have a single-family house. It's all new construction. There is a small candy shop, a shack on the property that is proposed to be removed. We are hoping to donate it or give it away, but it doesn't quite fit the program of what they want to use the building for.
Wasn't it moved there?
Yes, it was originally from Newcastle. It was a summer camp built, we think, in the 20s. It was purchased by Ashley Jones in the 50s, who moved at, prior to the 50s, the houses that were here were demolished at some point. There used to be a cluster of 5 little houses here historically. By the 1950s, they had all fallen down or been torn down, and then Ashley Jones, who lived across the street, bought this little summer camp shed, had it trucked over from Newcastle, set it up in the yard, and ran a candy shop / gift shop there for a few decades. I remember going there as a child and buying fudge and fancy clamshells. And it was purchased by the Sanders family in the early 90s and was just used as a banjo practice shop, and then they had these great Halloween parties once a year. That's pretty much it. So it's I did bring a supplement to pass out with some additional photos of the candy shop, and there is one other change we've been looking at, which is on the Prey Street lot, to flip the same house design, but to flip the ADU garage to the west side instead of the east side, move the driveway. And I'll explain that a little bit more when we get there as well. So the second page in has more photos of the candy shop. It was built in 2 parts, as you can see. It's a little bit awkward the way they pieced it together. It was originally about 17 feet by 10 feet, just a gable shed, and it appears that after it was moved to this site from Newcastle, they added that porch across the front with all the windows, but it's bizarre because it's so small, the ridge of the porch addition attaches pretty much to the ridge of the shed, and it's on a CMU cinder block crawl space.
Looks like it's easily movable again.
It is. It came here on a trailer. It could go away on a trailer. It could be moved pretty easily. However, it would be a great playhouse. There, I will say there is, you know, a legacy of those few decades when it was a candy shop, and a lot of people came to love it, and especially the Halloween parties. And there is a scale to it, which is somewhat charming. It's small. You can hold it in your hand. So we found a couple of things, looking at this with refreshed eyes, that really seem to define the site, especially on Marcy Street, are what I call the three sisters across the street, which are those three New Englanders, those end gable entrances. They have, there are 2 stories. There's a gable end entrance to one side and a bay window on the other side and a window above. And there's 3 in a row. They're all a little bit different, but the same kind of scale. So for the Marcy Street house, we've taken that cue along with the essence of the candy shop, which is a gable with a shed, and tried to reinterpret that in a way that respects both ideas, and then carrying that around the corner behind it to the Prey Street lot with a variation on the theme.
The site plan is as the latest.
The site plan is the latest, and you'll see that no change at all to the Marcy Street property, and on the Prey Street, the house is the same. We just shifted it left by about 12 feet, or west 12 feet, and put the driveway along the eastern property line instead of the western property line. And the reason for that was this property buyer really wants to be able to have a pocket garden, and that's the priority of this on both parcels, is to have a really beautiful, small, contained pocket garden, which can be enjoyed in the afternoon with the afternoon sun. And we found that by putting the garage and ADU to the west, there would be shadows at that afternoon time of day. So we put it to the east, where it won't affect the time of day in which she wants to enjoy her garden. So the other thing you'll see, that in the original we had the ADU and the garage side by side connected, and now we've pulled them apart to be separate buildings. They're both a simple gable, but they're separate. They're separate outbuildings. Other than that, no changes to what was previously presented. So I'm happy to go through. I know a few of you weren't here the first time, so I'm happy to just kind of briefly explain the context, but stop me if you have any questions. On the first page, page H01, that's the locus map. This simply shows that the footprint and scale are in keeping with the pattern of the neighborhood, which has a lot of single-family houses with outbuildings in the back, which are smaller. Let's see. We are dealing with a flood zone here, especially on the southeast corner of the Prey Street property. That's within the 100-year flood zone. So we are taking special precautions to keep the first floor living areas above flood level, especially seeing what's happened over the recent years. We want to make sure we account for that. On that same first page, you'll see the houses surrounding it are of different eras. They range from late 1700s to mid 1900s. There's a variety of styles. We have Federal, we have Queen Anne, we have a Royal Barry Willis Garrison right next door. There's the Cape across Marcy Street, the porch. Cape. Yes, where you used to live, I believe. Okay. Yeah. So an assortment. And then we already talked about the candy shop. The next page, H11, is a closer up site plan where you can see the 2 parcels, 445 Marcy and 20 Prey. They're fairly similar in the idea that it's a kind of a cape style. So it's a 1-story structure with an attic, a second story, and a back L with a porch. And a detached garage, 20 Prairie Street is a larger parcel, and that's the one that has the ADU. H20 are the street sections with relative heights. You can see that these buildings are lower than the average. If you took an average of all the buildings around it, it's at or below the midpoint. So it's in scale. And then the next few pages are street level views. In the 2D elevations, the two-dimensional elevation drawings are in the original packet. We can go through those as well. Looking for initial feedback. I'm happy to answer any questions. There's a lot of detail to go through here, but
So my initial question is, it looks like you have all these vertical elements all around the foundation.
it's a screening, yeah.
You know, are you planning on, when you have the house up into the air, to actually have the ability for water to flow underneath the house?
Yep. This design would be a lattice, a vertical wood lattice screen. The house would actually be built on posts, on piers. The water could go through at a flood event without affecting the living area. We're proposing the first floor to be at 15 feet. The grade at the upper corner is 12 feet, so that's a 3 feet height difference. So the steps going up to the front door would go up 3 feet on Marcy Street, and it's a few inches more on the Prairie Street. It starts to slope down a little bit.
That's very good. I mean, you're right there, and you're on the cusp of, I would say that I actually have been in your old house also, so I know why it's so concerning to you.
Yes. Well, eventually we imagine that most of the neighborhood will probably get taller over time. So, so one of the things that is interesting about this, the eave height is basically the same as everything around it, but it's only a one-story house. So what that means is we have a very tall floor-to-ceiling. It's an 11-foot tall floor-to-ceiling with very tall windows. So we've adjusted the scale of everything proportionally together to make it read in balance with what we would see in a cape. But the actual floor-to-floor heights are a little taller. Typically, you would see a cape with a eave height of maybe 8 feet or something. So this is a little bit higher, which is why we've introduced that band across at the 8-foot level and horizontal band, and then the eave is a little bit above that.
All Marcy Street.
You do see that also, that same dimension with the 1.5-story gable houses across the street. Those have a floor level at that band. This floor level behind the wall is a little bit taller, but it looks the same from the outside by the time you're all done. Traditional materials, wood, asphalt shingles, Marvin aluminum clad windows, brick chimneys for the fireplaces, porches.
Did we get a letter saying that, does this require kind of board of adjustment or something?
The ADU would require a conditional use permit, but we're not looking to do any variances or anything outside of the ordinance for ADUs or garages or any setbacks. Yeah.
I think the concern was a traffic and safety issue off of Prairie Street, and that's not us.
Yeah. We got a letter from the public. Someone was concerned about adding more cars to Prairie Street, which is very narrow. But again, that's not.
So I should clarify, there's one, the Prairie Street house would have a driveway, as would any house. And when we did meet with TAC on the previous project, we had tried to put that driveway on Partridge Street per the requests of the neighbors who didn't want a driveway. And the fire department had safety concerns with that. If there was an emergency, they would bring their trucks to Prairie Street, but they wouldn't be able to park their vehicles because the driveway would be on Partridge. So basically, if your front door is on Prairie Street, your driveway should be on Prairie Street. There is an ADU for that, though. We did, in fact, put the driveway on Partridge to mitigate any potential traffic concerns on Prairie Street.
Question, isn't there already a driveway on Prairie Street from the first residence?
So yes, the 445 Marcy lot has an existing driveway that will be maintained in essentially the same location. The back parcel, 20 Prairie, is currently just fences. There's no house. It wasn't subdivided until 3 years ago.
All right, so any other initial overall comments, thoughts, reactions?
I was excited when I opened the packet and looked at the two little smaller story-and-a-half capes that had articulations on them, things of interest, and the masking of your breakaway foundation with the fencing material. It all made me feel like we were headed somewhere. And so I was pretty excited. Details, there are details. I don't think this is going to rise and fall on details, honestly. Pretty pleased with the massing, pretty pleased with the general design, in case anyone wants to know.
Ditto. Just one question. So the Prairie Street, the second building is also a second residence, like an in-law residence or something, or?
So the Prairie Street parcel has a single family house. It has a one-car detached garage, and behind that, closer to Partridge, is a small ADU, a accessory dwelling unit. It's a one-bedroom. It's very small.
It seems well thought out. I mean, it looks very tasteful.
They have a driveway?
Yes, the ADU driveway is off of Partridge Street. Yeah, that one is, on a rainy day, they might need to park up the hill, but as will everyone on that street.
I would just say that the massing and the scale are very appropriate for the neighborhood and where you want it. Just, I'm just more curious how the Prairie Street, such a strong statement. Where'd you come up with that? What's the thinking?
So it started out looking exactly like the Marcy Street house, but then we realized it's not Marcy Street. It's not the Three Sisters with the gable ends, but we still wanted it to tie in because it's next door and it should relate. So, and also the front door wanted to be on Marcy Street, on Prairie Street. On Prairie Street, at that end, there are several houses that have the long side facing the street. There's one with the gable end, but there's a pretty good pattern of the eave and the long side facing the street, so we felt that was appropriate. And so it wanted a front door. We liked the bay window language that we were pulling off of Marcy Street and around the corner, and it felt like it just wanted to be a symmetrical building in keeping with the federal and the capes all around it. So, and then we started looking about how you might shelter the front door, and a lot of the the gable enders and some of those buildings, they'll have a bay window and then they'll have a door with a little thing over it, and then they have some stuff, and it just seemed busy, and it seemed simpler just to bring the cape eave out to a clean line over the bay windows.
Don't you think that in the end, though, you end up with a kind of a heavy mass over the tops of the bays as they went to that roof? It seems like that was allowed to give them too much rope. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I understand the bays. I'm not bothered by the symmetry, but I think the caps on those bays is heavy, and I'm not saying unadorned, but heavy. Part of that is your story and a half, and part of that, as you're describing, is the carrying of the roof over the tops of them, where we typically see they have their own separate, unique roofs.
Well, that was going to be my next inquiry. We're not seeing clapboards, we're not seeing shingles, we're seeing kind of a, is this just a massive study? Sort of?
Well, the two-dimensional elevations show the details of the siding on the original packet.
I'm looking
looking at the video.
Yeah, the one I just handed out tonight, was only the things that changed.
Is that nickel boards or something?
No, it's meant to be regular clapboards.
That's going away now.
It is, thank God.
Yeah, so these drawings here, I won't touch the microphone. Yeah, so it's predominantly clapboards. The upper gables have some shingles on the main house. Those should be in the packet.
They are, if you keep going this way.
Yeah, they're towards
Which
the end.
page is that?
What sheets are we on?
Looking at P21
And two, yeah, keep going.
They're in the
way
electronic.
back.
There you go, that one. So, and if anyone wants to look closer at the details, the printouts show the pattern of the siding and the dimensions of the trim.
One thing, I'm gonna kind of echo what Dave was saying, but on the Gray Street building, that dormer, to me, it just looks more massive. In reality, it's the same size as the other dormer, but I think the other dormer is broken up. It makes it look lighter with the 3 windows. And I don't mean solar lighter, I mean lighter in composition.
I see.
As opposed to
The 2 windows.
just
Yep.
the 2. That's just my take on it.
Okay. That's just because there were closets back there, but we can look at fenestrating closets. There's closets and windows. Yeah, form follows function. But we can look at lightening it up. I know there's obviously a shed dormer on a cape at the end of Prairie Street that you saw earlier this evening. That was one of the other inspirations for the shed dormer motif, but that is that has more of a glass to wall ratio as well than what we show on the Prairie Street house. So we can certainly look at that.
So I hate to bring like a classic design to these bay windows to sort of cure this problem that David has brought up with the boxiness of your 15 inches of trim or whatever over the windows. You could panel, it could be panels over. Could be panels under that bay window, and that would all of a sudden give the front of the house kind of an older look. I know that's not necessarily what you're trying to do, but he is right, that is awkward, the boxiness over the 2 bays.
Understood.
I feel like, I feel like you still have plenty of time to figure out some of these details. I want to make sure that we cover all of the broader views rather than getting stuck on any of these, the details.
They're going to start digging. They want to start digging.
Not yet.
Ground's gonna thaw out pretty soon.
No, and I'll just say that I think that this plan is much improved since the last one. I know that totally different owners, but different sort of program for these properties now. And so, and I think that having these smaller masses and smaller footprints spread out is certainly much more compatible with what's going on in the south end altogether. So thank you for that. I think this is going to be much more, hopefully much more acceptable to all the neighbors, but I think it is much more appropriate for this lot.
It's sort of nice to see the return of the 5 small buildings on the lot too.
Yeah.
Just a sore point that's coming up. Do you know that one of your neighbors and a butter to this property has a site drain that drains into your lot here?
At the
On the
Lower East
eastern
Side,
side.
yes. And the previous set, we'll be restarting the civil engineering on this. The previous design had created kind of a swale and then a culvert to mitigate that. Where there's like that pipe that goes under the fence. Yes. Yeah, that's
Maybe
a difficult area.
shared responsibility or something might come up.
Okay. Yep.
Any other sort of overall comments? concerns, questions? Yeah, that's great.
A door, that is not in our purview. Adorable.
I also want to commend you for just the designs of having, threading that difficult needle of having, you know, a very traditional shape and form and all that stuff, but still making it obviously of today. So, yeah, so thank you. Good work there. And I think the design is very appropriate for the neighborhood. Okay, if there's no more, we can ask and see if there's anyone from the public who wants to speak to this. Again, this is just work session. We're all having movable conversations at the moment. So.
Thank you. Most of our neighborhood is.
Sorry, can you introduce yourself?
Excuse me, Mark Minnenberg. I live at 437 Marcy, across the street from both properties. I was involved in the very controversial debates that we had 3 years ago. I just speaking for myself, this is certainly a good improvement. But I also have to just say to you that the neighborhood, after what we went through 3 years ago, the neighborhood needs a little time to adjust to this, because it was so acrimonious and so hostile and such a disregard and disrespect for the people who have multi-million-dollar investments all around this property that I'm not empowered to speak for all those people, right? But I just want to say that we'd like to be good neighbors. And I can see you're all very delighted, which is your right to be. But also, coming from the other side, it feels, you know, as if our government is ready to just approve this and kind of forget about the rest of us. That's the sense I had listening to it. I know you don't mean it that way, but this is a contested issue for us. I just want to say it in the nicest way I can. We do have issues with water. It sounds like they're being well addressed, but I can't speak to that for the homeowners who are concerned about it. We joke about the candy store. It is a historic building in the district. You're going to tear it down or remove it. That's a major change. It still has to be, there's a process for that. It has been the site of a black-owned business, African-American business. I mean, there are parts to it. I did a lot of research on it. None of those things are insurmountable, but there is a process that we should go through to get there. I feel like a jerk I'm not trying to lecture to you, because I can see that it's not comfortable at this hour. But we do have a lot of people who we now need to resolve in ourselves that we can kind of all live with it. Does that make sense? You can't probably speak back. Okay. I think it was any other issue. I guess, yeah, the drainage is the biggest thing. I think the driveway and parking sounds like that's going to be alleviated in some ways. But anything you'd like to say to the neighborhood, anyone, or just?
Man, I would just like to encourage as many people to come as possible, because the more you're involved with the process, the more feedback Tracy gets, the better product I think you'll get all around. And I know that nothing hurts more than feeling that you haven't been heard, but we need to have you come and speak in order for you to be heard.
Thank you.
So please invite your neighbors to come and participate, because that makes all the difference. I think what you're seeing right now with the nodding heads is that very high level conceptual, how big are the buildings, what's the general flavor of the building. So don't feel like we've just put a rubber stamp on this. We're just giving Tracy the directional feedback that she needs at this point.
I understand, and I realize I sounded like a jerk. I didn't mean to but I just, you know.
Well, I don't think that was a jerk at all, but at the same time, you don't want to back us up too much, because reality says somebody can buy this lot and put something on it. That's going to happen. And we are trying to be your best advocate in terms of what it is that's going to happen.
We appreciate that.
And working as well as we can with the architect, who we don't want to spank, you know. She's put some effort into this thing. We want to reward her for her effort and encourage, you know, something more. We're, I think, honest to God, all on the same team. But
Thank you. I'm sure
it
we
isn't
can.
a static situation that's going to go away if we ignore it.
Yes, we understand. And we also know that we can approach this the way it was 3 years ago. That wasn't productive for anybody. And it was too painful for everyone, including us. So we'll come back. Everyone's away. That's why I was elected.
Well,
There's no one's, I didn't go on vacation. Everybody else is somewhere. And
This isn't the only time we'll
Okay.
be here talking about this.
Thanks. Unfortunately, I'm also, I'm a recovering lawyer, and so they also send me out because I'm used to getting up and speaking with people, but I haven't practiced in 30 years, so don't take me too seriously. Anyway,
Thank you.
my neighbor, I think, may have one more thing. Thank you.
Before you go, I think this group worked well with the neighbors last time, too. I think we were
Yeah.
seeing the same things that you were, and I think the results showed that we're into something new.
Yeah, I'm think it's a good evolution.
Thank you.
Good evening, Michelle McLaughlin, 469 Marcy Street. I just have a couple of questions. I see on the plans that there are trees depicted on the development side of things, and will those be the same trees that are there now? I'm not quite seeing those trees remaining, but just curious about the trees that are shown on the plans.
The trees shown on the plans are the existing trees.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right, good. The other thing I was wondering about was the demolition of the candy shop. I received information about how the process works, but I'm also curious on the historic district side as to how the process works. Is there any more discussion that will take place or evaluation of the candy shop, or has it kind of been decided? I'm not clear on that.
This is part of the, again, it's part of the approval process to approve any new design. Obviously, here we will have to approve the demolition or the removal of the existing building, and we handle that case by case.
Oh, okay.
So, many times we will request that whatever is being demolished be documented somehow with photographs, and those photographs will be given to the Athenaeum to keep on file. It's sort of how, at the request, not the request, but the agreement of both the commission and the applicant to figure out the best way to handle the demolition of a historic structure.
So no specific criteria, but more on a case by case. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, so Tracy, could you talk, because I was going to ask about the trees. These are the actual mature trees that are there on the property today, and you're intending to work around them?
Yeah, there's only one tree that would come down, which is the small maple in the corner, but the big tree in the middle, and definitely the walnut. Well, now that we move that, there are some right along the property line. The walnuts right along the property lines. There's 3 walnut trees along Prairie Street on the front lot, and then there are 3 more walnut trees on the east property line abutting the other house. Yep. We'll keep those if we can, for sure. One along Prairie Street is very close to the foundation, so that we're hoping, but we need to meet with some arborists on those to make sure we can do that.
That would be valuable information to
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah, if we could have a plan with regard to that, because it took 70-plus years for these trees to be here, and putting in some saplings is always disappointing.
Right. Well, the giant Norway maple in the back is one of the reasons we put the houses where they are, is to save that primary tree.
And just a thought I wanted to throw out, if discussions about how many driveways go out on Prairie Street, I think working with this garage and having the driveway come off of Marcy, I personally, as the homeowner, would rather do that than navigate a tiny how do I turn around, how do I maneuver in the snowbanks? But that's technical, but I could see coming in here.
A curb cut on Marcy Street. I am pretty sure the TAC committee wouldn't go for that. And having lived on Marcy Street myself for 25 years, it's and being hit by cars twice, pulling out, it's a dangerous road to pull out between parked cars. On that side of the road, the cars park, and they come screaming around the corner from Newcastle in the summer, and it's rough. It's much safer to not do that.
I lost 2 cats.
We go on Humphrey's Court. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not going to stay. I received a text from my wife saying, remember that on Prairie Street, we can't even get into our driveways without elaborate 3 and 4 point turns. And hopefully that'll be the last word, but I forgot to say that. And when I get home, I would not have been in good standing. So
Well, again, it's not really our purview here to figure that out.
I understand that, but since it was being discussed, that's the trouble, is you can't right angle into anything on the street. It's this wide.
I think most places in the South End, I feel like, are not very conducive to the giant cars and the many cars that we have these days. So I know it's a
Lakes work well.
Likes work very well. So all right. So if there are no other questions or
We do have someone else from the public on Zoom.
okay.
Susan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. I wanted to say that I do appreciate the architect's respect for the comments from the previous HGC meetings about the previous proposal. She has considered the massing. I think that's what this conversation is about. The massing of the design. I think it is respectful and follows the guidelines of the HGC, which is really appreciated. Are you still able to hear me? Because I can't tell.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. I wanted to note, I know that an awful lot of the conversations or the conversations and concerns about this project really are under the purview of the Board of Adjustment or the Planning Board or DES, for instance. This site is compromised by the flood zone, and it is a flood zone marking that is relatively new to the South End and wasn't designated in the 1850s when the maps showed 2 parcels, two houses on this lot. And I know that there was another map later on that mentioned that there were 4, but it looked as though that was 1 house and 4 sheds, or 1 house, 1 shed, and 2 outhouses. So I don't think we can consider the density in 1800 or 1900 as appropriate for the density at this time, given the flood zone and the compromised building area. I wanted to also mention that the lot has been designated 20 Prairie Street and 445 Marcy by the subdivision, but in the subdivision, I don't know what you call it, subdivision approval, but the 20 Prairie Street address was arbitrary. I think it could have been as easily a Partridge Street address. So when the architect says it's 20 Prairie Street, I remember there was a conversation about the fire department wanting the address to be clear, front door versus back door. I'm not sure in this case whether it makes a difference to the fire department which lane they go on, but my issues in particular are about as Mark mentioned, the amount of traffic that goes up and down Prey Street, the challenge of getting in and out of Prey Street at Marcy, which Tracy just mentioned, is difficult at her end and is especially difficult at Prey Street, where Marcy is the narrowest. So at the moment, we have, if there is someone parked legally on Marcy, one cannot see to get out of Prey Street. Now, I know that's a BOA issue, it's a planning issue. I do think density here is an issue to be considered, and the address, I believe, is fairly arbitrary. It just had to do with having to designate the lot for sale, basically. So I do appreciate the design. There's a respect for the neighborhood. I do have questions still about the height, and I'd like to see a design that shows people in it so that we have some sense of especially scale on the house facing Prey Street, or because it comes 5 feet in from the lot line, and because of the extra height, because of flood zone, and as Tracy mentions, maybe all of us will have to raise our houses, which I don't think is a reason to make a design consideration here, but I'd like to see what that looks like, because the house is very close to Prey Street and is actually fairly high. So those are the things that I would like to see in the next design, and I'm looking forward to, seeing what the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board say about the density on the lot. I do think an ADU at this point, and 2 garages and an ADU, is pushing a few buttons. And as Mark said, we don't want it to be contested. We know that it's a developable piece of property, but it happens to be a relatively small developable area given the lot size because of the flood zone. So that's constricting. So I appreciate your consideration and looking at the neighborhood and respecting the neighborhood character. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else online?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming, and we will look forward to seeing you come back and responding to all of these various things. Would you like us to continue?
Yes, please.
Next month? Okay, great. Can we have a motion?
Second.
Thank you, favor?
Aye.
What's that?
Thank you.
Thank you. This is good job, people. We got through this pretty lengthy agenda on time, 9:30.
Any administrative?
I don't believe so.
We did have the second public hearing on 18 Orchard Street, 14 Orchard Street, I forget. But it was brought up that the council is anxious to clean up that, you know what I mean? But we were kind of, you know what I mean, we didn't want to, I don't know if the HGC, you know what I mean, wants to kind of tackle that and then send a recommendation or.
Yeah. I believe the planning department is working on it currently.
Okay.
And then we'll come back, what they've draw up and clean up, we'll come back here and then,
Cool.
so.
It came up on Monday night, so I figured I'd mention it.
Great, great, wonderful. All right. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Aye.
Aye.